Hello friends, I'm Kanchan from Akumac Multiverse and welcome to our show. Today we have a very interesting topic to discuss, and that is space colonization. When we talk about space colonization, it is an expansion of human society. A part of this, it's a common objective and of course objection for colonizing in a commodification way. See, of the cosmos. And see, though there's no colonies as yet, but uh, we are planning. I mean, human race is planning. And why we are not able to make any colonies so far is because there's a lot of technical and economical challenge. So we need to support the whole of humankind, the needs of humankind in the space. So it's quite a difficult task. And I think it's also impractical when on Earth only we are engaged in war. We have situations like economic inequality and, of course, temperamental equations we don't gel many times. So it is becoming, it is becoming, and I think scientists think about all these parameters when we think of space colonization, because we have to pursue our dream of going out in cosmos, creating our home there, leaving Earth with a controlled economical, ecological life support system. And there we need a lot of uh, personal training and other educational skill to really go and live in our space. To discuss this more, we have Sitesh Srivastav, who has a deep interest in corporate trainings. He is also my colleague. He's associated with radio broadcasting. A part of this, he is also a very good reader when it comes to space and heavenly bodies. So welcome to the show, Sitesh. How are you?
Mangal. How are you, Kanchan? It's a great day. How have you been?
Yeah,
I
I'm
see you
fine.
in space.
Yeah, I'm fine, and I am really so excited to know your views about colonizing space. So I thought, let me think more ideas on how eventually we can go travel in the space in an air spacecraft.
Kanchan.
Yes.
Yes, Kanchan. So, Kanchan, I remember one great statement by a famous uh, scientist, Stephen Hawking. He said that if humans do not plan to leave the planet in 100 years, they may not been a lot of predictions, lot of discussions, lot of theories and papers and facts and fiction about a human extinction. And because of that human extinction, this is being planned that humans should move out of this planet, and then they should try to colonize their solar system partners. Venus is one candidate. Mars has been more better candidates, though from a perspective of similarities, Venus is closer, but there are much more tempting visions about Mars, and therefore, and Mars has been from the folklore, from mythology, and from the various world cultures. Mars has always been observed in the sky as a red dot,
Right.
and a bigger, and therefore, this discussion about escaping the planet for a better future for the human race finds its charm. And there have been more or less the government interventions, government laboratories like NASA, like from USA, and then ISRO from India, CNSA, Chinese National Space Organization, and many more, Japan Space Agency, European space agencies, recently, in last decade or so, there have been private space flight companies also have come up. For example, SpaceX by Elon Musk and Virgin Galactic, and there are several others as well. So there is a great demand that is going to be generated over the decades, centuries, and beyond centuries, Kanchan, to have some kind of rovers or orbiters to actually explore the surface. Mars is easier to explore, it seems, as compared to Venus or Jupiter or Saturn. You know, it's more or less the number of hours is 24 hours, 39 minutes, 35 seconds a day, which is also called sol on the Martian lingo. And from a rotation point of view, around the sun, it is 687 days. Red soil of that planet suggests the soil had been fertile. The recent orbiters or the rovers have also shown some craters, rivers, volcanoes. So there is a lot of hope for humanity. What do you think?
Well, I think is that Mars, as you say, is one of the candidates where human can race really look up to. But what I feel is Venus is more better because we can make a cloud city on Venus, because there is a possibility of getting 21% kind of oxygen, and then we have 60% carbon dioxide. So that is a better candidate actually. So see the view when we have a cloud city on Venus and we are floating, and we are floating among these beautiful clouds, and also watching our dear Earth from there. So that will be a very, very magnificent scene, isn't it?
No wonder you said that, and that's why somebody had said women are from Venus and men are from Mars. I'm sure. So we will definitely get into a debate about Mars or Venus. And I think the space agencies across the world, the astronomers, the astronauts, and the scientific community is actually too much bent on learning which one is the best for human colonization. The importance of the human colonization is not just carrying humans from this planet to another planet. I also think that it is important to colonize it in a way which actually is the best practice and then trying to settle down there. So we recently in this 2020, we had a UAE mission by UAE Space Agency, right, which is called Hope. It is scheduled to reach Mars on February 2021. Mm-hmm. Then we have Tianwen 1 by China, Mars 2020 by NASA, then ExoMars program by Roscosmos and the European Space Agency. Roscosmos is the Russian. And then we have our ISRO's Mars Orbiter Mission 2. So there are two distinct stuff here. One is the orbiter, one is the rover. Now, rover is the one which actually gets to the soil, whether it is Mars or I think we have only planned only Mars rovers. Nobody has planned Venus rovers yet. So I think it is important, the amount of money, the amount of effort, time that has been spent on Mars. I think in another 10 to 30 years, Kanchan, we will live to see, I will live to see the first humans going to the Mars. Though it is a one-way ticket as of now, given the speed of the rocket or carrying the humans, but I think I would live to see the first humans going there. I would love to sign up for that as well, even if it is for a one-way trip. because that is like those people who reached the moon in 1969. They said one small step for mankind, and that is the kind of things will happen. Statements would come when we land up on Mars, and I think it is important for us to study and we need to encourage, the governments need to encourage the private space flight as well, so that not just for the fun purpose, as we also see that angle, but more from the cost of traveling to the outer space should be reduced, and it should probably get free from the government clutches that it is as of today.
Well, you vote for Mars and I vote for Venus. Why? Let me tell you. But at present, it has been established that the gravity of Mars is 0.38 times that of the Earth, and that will be insufficient to avoid the decrease of muscle mass and of course bone decalcification. And a part of this, Venus is closer to Earth, and and the size is somehow similar to Earth, uh, and it is the surface area. The gravity surface is also very near to Earth parameters what we need. So the most exploration and colonization, I think, will be more appropriate if we focus on Venus, and especially when on a cloud city, because Venus as a planet is very harsh, but above that Venus we have that kind of, we can create that kind of atmosphere for human survival.
Yes, Kanchan. And I am beyond the science, beyond the facts, beyond the maths that is around it and known already. I always keep thinking about the behavioral aspects of humans reaching either to Venus or to Mars. As we have seen in the movie Avatar and countless other movies of the science fiction, I think it would be important that we carry with us a new thought, a new society, probably a utopian society rather than a dystopian society. We should carry egalitarianism with us to the different planets when we go there. As per one of the studies that I was reading some time back, the first humans, when they reach Mars, and then they start mutating or creating children on the Mars, the Mars specific humans, probably we may not even call them humans, we may call them something else, so let's, for today, we call them humans. The humans specific, customized, specific for the Mars will only start to be seen in 60,000 years from the day the humans land on the red planet. So probably this math could differ when if humans land on Venus. My whole hearted support for the scientific community, because what we have seen on this planet and the way the climate change is happening in last 70 or 100 recorded years, Kanchan, it's a worrying concern about the viability of the planet, the population that this planet is feeding into, and therefore it's important for us to land on. Probably moon can be used as a station, a junction to jump towards the Mars. So I believe these a lot of books have been written. Around 41 novels are based on just Mars. Very popular one, Mars Trilogy by Kim Stanley Robinson, Red Mars, Green Mars, Blue Mars. And we have seen recently some Martian a movie called Martian. And so I must think that scientific community, along with the behavioral scientists, along with the psychologists, and a whole human population should participate in thinking what kind of colonization we are planning in our solar system, because that will set up a precedence for future centuries later, when our we would try to go beyond our solar system, our some of the orbiters or satellites, they have already left the solar system. They are into the deep space in our galaxies, and it is very, very important. What do we carry from here, and how do we plan it there? Anyway, it will take its own shape because gravity is different, atmosphere is different, soil is different, and there are so many different factors which we don't even know as of today.
Yes, I think as you are betting for Mars settlement, and I agree that when it comes to Venus, we have some crucial point which are making delaying this colonization dream. First is that it is very hot on the surface of Venus, and second, it is 90 times the atmosphere pressure on Venus is 90 times more than Earth. So it makes difficulty in really going on the surface of Venus, though in Soviet Union has already sent Venera 5 and Venera 6 to do study, but then it got damaged even only 18 kilometers above the surface, from the surface of Venus. So these are few things which are making the research and development of any cosmos settlement. But yes, scientists are thinking of a floating city on Venus, which is uh, which is appropriate for human settlement because the oxygen level as can we can maintain in that particular bed. So I look forward and I vote for Venus Sky City rather than going on Mars and starting from very scratch, taking a printer also will not help, especially in Mars because there is scarcity of water in both the planets. Not only in Venus, but Mars also we have a lot of, there's a scarcity of water. So all these are is a hindrance in our dream, in our plans for traveling and making a settlement in the cosmos. But we are working and I'm voting for Sky City on Venus.
Well, I can already see that you are traveling already in the outer space with your Akalmac logo, and thankfully that is still the Earth is still to be seen in the background. So I hope you will not go too far and you will carry. But there will be a time when we would say to our friends, "Hey, I have an uncle living on Mars, or I have an aunt living in Venus. I'm going for a vacation on these places." And this is not a pipe dream, Kanchan. Nobody knew that this was possible 100 years back. And I'm sure that in 200 years from now, 300 years from now, this would be like, taking a plane from Delhi to Chicago. Yeah. And I wish that happens, and humans have a better prospects. They have a better rather, let us not use the word colonization because that has got some negative connotations on our planet. Let's say something else, probably some other word which we need to think. And therefore it is important for us to move beyond this planet. Probably then we would be able to appreciate when we are far from our planet Earth. Then we would appreciate, as humans generally appreciate, when things are not around them or they are far from the things. And that will open up the real possibility of interplanetary travel. And once in few hundred years we are there, in interplanetary travel becomes easier, then the humans or the whoever in the Martian people or Venus people, they would then take exploration towards intergalactic travel like we saw in the movie Interstellar.
Yes, definitely. But I also want to put forward one more crucial point is that in case if you want to travel to outer space, we have to do a little bit training in terms of in terms of uh, matching our IQ, matching our customs, situations, rather than we have to seamlessly and very accurately press our differences down and come up, as we say in Hindi, Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, and we have that kind of temperament to really travel, because then we will be otherwise we will be taking a war from here to galactic level, I guess. So I think this also needs a lot of training, a lot of patience, which is very, very important in case if we really want to settle down and take human race to the outer space. Uh, what are your ideas on this front?
So, as I said, Kanchan, Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam is the utopian society that we all dream for. And that has been more or less an acceptable concept for the human beings to be on this planet. At the same time, there are challenges in a utopian society, and there are limits to Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam as well. And then we have some thought process of a dystopian society, which is just an antonym of the utopian society. And then it comes about the equality of human beings, which is also called egalitarianism. But again, what I think is that these are the human concepts that we have developed. We are dealing with a space which is unknown because there are so many other factors which we still don't know. I can't even claim that we know 50% of the Mars exploration today. As long as the first human beings don't set up their foot on Venus or Mars, we would not be able to say that. So whether Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam or other of what kind of societies we are going to create, we don't know. The other thing is that what kind of societies they will eventually become, we really don't know. So it is important for us. There was some mission many years back, I remember, by NASA, which they sent out to the outer space, which actually passed from our solar system and went into the our out of our solar system into the galaxy, and it is carrying so many languages written on a golden plaque,
Right.
by multiple cultures, multiple languages are written. Probably some alien somewhere would be able to read and figure out whom from where it is coming. So we are dealing with the unknown. The way these budgets are being passed is all in the positive dreams, good dreams for the humanity, best dreams for safeguarding this planet. But we really don't know on that side. When we reach there, we will know. So I hope our wisdom prevails, our scientific community is prepared, and the kind of news that we read today, we should read more and more. And I think our children in the schools, space exploration should become as a subject. And why this has not been as a subject in the schools from a very early age is something that baffles me.
Yes, it should be taught in schools, because if we are really planning and space is now opening up, all new scientific research are being done in this particular arena. So I think we should have a separate subject like cosmos or space, where uh, they children from a very early age should know, rather than it be a part of geography or history or civil science. So I really agree on this point, because and it is very, very essential. First of all, once you have that kind of knowledge, you should also have a life skill knowledge to really living in space. That should also be part of the curriculum, because in any way we have to live. Suppose a human race goes on in space, and they have to live in a controlled ecological life support system. Now on Earth, we are wasting, we are destroying our habitat every day, So that is also a part of learning. We have to start, especially now. In case if you are maybe after 100 years, you are seeking to have a settlement in any of these planet, anywhere in space, you have to prepare our young generation to live on Earth in a better way, and then plan and go how we have to reach in space and create a separate, maybe second living space in the space.
Correct, Kanchan. Until all this happens, let me go and have a bite of my favorite Mars chocolate.
It was so wonderful to talk to you, Sitesh. We'll discuss some other interesting topic in our next episode. Till then, bye bye. Take care.
Land well, Kanchan. Thank you.
Hello friends, this is Chandrakant from Assimilate Technologies and welcome to Top Brass. And today in the Spotlight segment of Top Brass, I'm pleased to invite Mr. Satya Madala, CEO of Single Point Solution. And today Satya will inform us about some of his products for the benefit of our contestants who are participating in Top Brass Speaker of the Year Award. Welcome Satya, good morning.
Good morning, CK, and good morning to all viewers of this video.
So, how is the weather in Hyderabad today?
It's very cool, Chandra, today. So it's some sort of small drizzling also. So the weather seems to be very romantic today.
So I think let's talk about your first romance, which is the electric vehicles, and you'd like to know more about electric three-wheeler, which you are about to launch in India.
Yes. So actually, recently, we are acquired one manufacturing unit. Single Point acquired a manufacturing unit of three-wheelers. So we are manufacturing actually 4 variants of three-wheelers. So one is a passenger vehicle, and another one is goods vehicles, and the another one is waste collection vehicles, and tool tracking vehicles also we are launching. So basically we are mainly concentrating on three-wheeler passenger autos and waste collection autos. So waste collection autos is for municipal corporations. So we are also trying to work with government, state government, municipal corporations. So wherein actually we wanted to replace all the fuel vehicles with electrical waste collection vehicles. Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's very interesting that you are working with 2 different entities. One is a private operator, which is going to run the electric three-wheelers for public transportation, and you're also working with municipality, which is going to use it in their municipality work. So it is very interesting. So what are the features of this 2 variants that you are concentrating on?
Can you repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
What are the some of the key features of these 2 variants that we are trying to launch in India?
Yeah. See, when it comes to passenger vehicles, you see the passenger vehicle is when we say electrical vehicle, so people will think about the capacity and the performance of the vehicle. So the performance is pretty good, and which is more than fuel vehicle. But even when it comes to the person who is driving a vehicle, so he will not find any difference in between this fuel vehicle and electrical vehicle. So the only challenge people are asking is where they can charge the vehicle. So the very simple answer for that is they can charge the vehicle in their house. So by using with a single phase and three phase connections, so there is no problem at all. The second variant where I am talking about municipal corporation waste collection vehicles. So wherein actually municipal corporations they can have a dockyard, charging dockyard, wherein actually all the people can go and charge their vehicles in the dockyard with a for a they can charge for a vehicle within 2.5 hours to 3 hours. So once it is charged for a 3 hours, they can run it for 100 kilometers. So that is the advantage with the electrical vehicle.
Oh, that is very nice to know, Satya, that one single charge can run for 100 kilometers. So
Yes.
some of these small cities can have these vehicle as a viable solution, because if it is a large city, then you will have to have another charge point after 100
Yes.
kilometers.
Yes.
But the small cities like cities which are B class, C class and D class in India, and also the rural, they can use this product which you are going to roll out very easily.
Yes. Actually, we are coming up with another business model also, wherein actually the person, the companies, small entities, they can come and run their fleet in a rural areas. Actually, we are targeting tier 3 cities, to run the vehicles in between tier 3 cities and small towns to another villages, wherein they can come forward and they can take the take the dealership with us, and they can run the vehicles, and they can rent out the vehicles, and they can maintain the charging dockyard, and they can earn money on charging dockyard also. Like the person, they cannot charge the vehicle in their house, so they can come and they can come and park the vehicle in a dockyard, so they can charge the vehicle in a night, and they can run it for 100 kilometers. So 100 kilometers means actually, as practically, when I see in a rural areas, the connection between tier 3 cities and villages will take at 20 kilometers. So that means they can run the vehicle for 4 times, and they can park it in a dockyard for a charging. So it will take another 3 hours, and again they can run it. So like they will get a 60% more than the fuel vehicle. So the driver, they can earn more money by running these vehicles, by running the electrical vehicles.
And just in case if somebody wants to increase his mileage, he can also buy additional battery. So I think that could also be one solution, isn't it?
We are also again researching on a battery, wherein actually we are trying to reduce the battery size and increase the capacity. Once I increase the capacity, maybe in another 6 months time, we can you people can hear a good news where like we are coming in a battery technology, nano battery technology. So where you going to use nano battery technology in autos also.
So
So
the
it increases the capacity.
okay, so if so they can keep two batteries to develop their if they want to run for even 200 kilometers, they would be able to keep multiple batteries or multiple places where they can charge their batteries when they are having their lunch in between. So I think there are tremendous opportunity for the operators who want to get into this business, and for the contestants, I think today's conversation has given us a lot of inputs in terms of electric three-wheeler and where it can be best suited. So if some of the Speaker of the Year award contestants are making video on electric three-wheeler, I think this video will give them a lot of information.
Yeah, I just even I wanted to add one more point for a contest where like they can they can talk about difference between fuel vehicle and electrical vehicle and the capacity, and they can research on electrical three wheelers, how to um, take it forward to general market, wherein we are targeting low end people. Low end people means the drivers. So just I wanted this contest to research on to reach the low end people. So if the content is good, then we can promote the content to low end people, and they can see just a simple and crisp some research content we required from the contest. That's what we are expecting.
Yeah, definitely, Satya. In fact, the India, as we know as a country, 80% is in the not in the metropolitan. It's all
Yes,
across the urban, semi-urban areas outside the metropolitan areas.
exactly, exactly.
That is the India which is now coming up in a big way, and there are a lot of opportunities in that part of India. So I think
Sure. Yeah.
like we are SME owners, you and myself, separate entities. We are doing different businesses. There are a lot of opportunities for contestants also to look at the opportunities which are there, and who knows,
Yes,
some of the contestants may come out with the bright business ideas. So I think it's
exactly.
a very good inputs that you have given.
Yes.
And we hope that
So where we practically experienced when we are explaining the differences between these two. So we are practically experiencing some issues with the drivers, auto drivers. So where just I wanted the contest to concentrate on that point, and at the same time, if they can, give some input to find out the difference between these two, is much better in their videos.
all right. So I think the expectation from Satya would be to first create simple videos talking about advantages, disadvantages of electric vehicles, and
Yes.
comparing them with the petroleum, which are gas guzzlers and
Yeah.
they pollute the environment. I think that's a very good
Exactly.
input. That's a very
Yes. Yes.
so. Thank you, Satya, for coming on this session of Spotlight. And I'm sure that the contestants will look at this video and get their inputs. And we will catch up again with you in next session of Spotlight.
Sure, CK. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you very much for the video.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye bye.
You too. Bye.
Hello friends, this is Akul Mac Live and my name is Chandrakant. Today we will discuss about how to have a pragmatic approach towards partnership. It is very important to have a very well thought strategy around partnership, especially now when we are forced to have a lot of partnership within our country as well as across the borders into multiple countries. So we will have a very distinguished guest joining us to discuss this subject. He's joining us from UK. I will take a short break and join back with my guest. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a moment. Welcome back, friends, and I'm very happy to have our guest today with us, Mr. Mike Bradley, who is joining us from UK today, and we have a very interesting subject to discuss. It's about pragmatic approach towards partnership. So, Mike, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm very good, sir. Very good indeed. And we've had a little bit of Indian summer weather for the last week, so I've been enjoying it. Getting out to the beach and getting out on the motorbike and all that sort of stuff. So very good.
Fantastic. So we are actually quite wet here. So the world which is reeling under the wet monsoon or rains, I think there are other areas who are actually enjoying yourself, or there are other extremes where there are forest fires. So I think world is going crazy as far as environment is concerned.
It certainly is. It's been warmed for a while now, and here we all are, sort of still trying to go on our own sweet way, do things exactly as we did before, and then wondering why things are getting worse, and the weather, the weather's getting more crazy, and the world's getting warmer. But it's okay to point the finger and say someone else can give up meat or can stop traveling around, but we all want to keep doing the same things as before. So not a lot's going to change unless we all take responsibility, I don't think.
Absolutely. For the benefit of viewers, Mike actually heads one of the very fantastic company based in UK, and that company is called Scale Up Arena, and they actually do a lot of partnership. They help a lot of partners to come together and help them to do business together. So today's subject is also very interesting. It is pragmatic approach towards partnership. So Mike, since you deal in this particular domain, why don't you tell our viewers how we should do partnership and what is the most pragmatic approach? I think you can split it down into multiple sessions. So today being the first one.
Okay. Well, I think, obviously partnerships are all about people. That's the first thing to say. So it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're in a niche market, whether you're in a national market, whether you're trying to go global, basically it's going to come down to the people that you work with. So what the key to a good partnering approach is to start from the premise that it's the people you have to work with. So I've got a little, what I call 5 C's, another one of my alliterations, which I think are quite crucial in this area. The first one is both parties, and there's that old cliche win-win, and you have to ensure that there is a win-win in the partnership that you're trying to set up. And that means it's got to be, the first C, complementary. So there's no point seeking to do a partnership where one party feels that it's disadvantaged or it's not equally in its own interest to the other party. So it's got to be completely complementary to what's going on at the moment. Doesn't matter where that is, what sector it is. It mustn't be seen to be competitive, and it's got to be seen to be helping to do the existing business plus incrementally add something extra. So that's my first C, if you like. Would you agree with that one, Chandra?
Yes, Mike, I think that's quite interesting. But when we are working across the border between multiple countries, what is your advice to people? Because, now the different business houses are coming from totally different cultures. Sometimes cracking a joke is accepted, but in other countries, when you talk business, they are very, very serious. So how do you handle this? And I think today's subject is pragmatic. So how do you handle this situation pragmatically?
That is my second C, culture. Now, what you have to do is be aware of the culture in which you're trying to trade. Setting aside, and there's that old expression, separate the people from the problem. So what you're doing is you're supplying a solution to a problem. Doesn't matter where it is. But you cannot separate the people and the culture of those people from trying to sell your solution and solve the problem. So you have to recognize that the norms for the culture you're working in are going to be different. The traditions, when deals are done, are they done, over breakfast meetings? Are they done at lunch? Are they done purely on a pragmatic, purely professional, non-personal basis? And so you have to be able to understand those cultures. So in order to work with the culture, the most sensible approach is to work local. So you can have your product, supply it into the market, but work in conjunction with local delivery partners, because they are the ones who are going to understand the people, know the cultures, know whether you should offer a mango lassi or a pint of lager. All those sort of things are really important. So culture is the second C. So I'm glad you picked me up on that one. So that's my second recommendation, is you're culturally sensitive and you work in a complementary way with the local culture. My third C is communication. So what you have to do is ensure that there is good, clear, open lines of communication between you. That the objective, the product, the solution has a very clear definition, what it is, why it's important, how it's delivered, and most importantly, who it gets delivered to. And you've got to very clearly ensure that the messages that go with the product fit the culture and fit the communication of that culture. Because we could, and I think we see this between India and the UK. Sometimes the sentences that we put together in the UK aren't quite so straightforward when they're translated into the Indian culture, and vice versa. So it's very easy to misinterpret a sentence. So we have to really ensure that the communication is crystal clear, and what the proposition is and how it benefits and the deliverables it gives are clear in the culture and the language of the partner you're working with.
Well, Mike, I think that is for sure very important point that you have mentioned today. But sometimes, people don't have that exposure, to get these 3 C's, learning on these 3 C's that you talk about. And these are, I think, the starting point of any partnership. What they should do, are there any books, or is there any help available where people can learn? I mean, for example, India is okay. It's not very bad. But if you go too further east, it can be really, really, really bad, even for Indians, because we don't understand Japanese culture, we don't understand Chinese culture, Korean, yes, what they like, how they sit. When you're walking and not looking at them, does it mean anything? Does not mean anything? So we don't know. So I think we can be cool between UK, US, and India, where we don't care about these things, but then there are other people who actually care about these things. So is there something like this available? And you already mentioned that we work with a local partner. I think that is one stopgap. But then again, how do you handle the local partner also? Because the local partner will also be from that country. So I think that's a challenge. How do you handle this whole situation?
Yeah, I think there's, and that comes down to the 4th C, funny enough, which is contacts. So what you do is you're establishing a contacts within the partner. You probably need to identify the person who's going to be your inside sponsor, your inside contact person. You build up rapport with that person. You then start to understand how each other work and what the solution is and how it's delivered. But also there are, if you're going to, shall we say, a very different culture, there are training sessions and there are online courses that you can take to say, if I'm going to do work in Japan, what do I need to understand? And there are courses for that sort of thing, and they're all online. It's very easy to get familiar with, say, the executive level approach, or how people interact with each other, how contacts work, how you trade, when do you ask for the order, or do you not ask for the order? Do you offer something else? And then they say, oh, yes, I want 3 million of those. And you say, yes, fine. So again, it comes down to contacts and building rapport. It's all about the people. At the end of the day, it's between 2 people that the deal's going to end up working. So we have to be adaptable. It's something I think you can learn. It's a form of, I suppose you could call it cultural intelligence, as opposed to emotional intelligence. So I think you can develop cultural intelligence. The more you travel, the more you work, the more you realize that there are a lot of similarities between people across the world, and there's fractional changes that are important, that differentiate the different cultures, and you've got to be sensitive to those. Be open, willing to learn, etc. And then, of course, the final C is clients, because ultimately, to make the partnership work, you need to actually identify who are the best clients to go after with that partner. And because of focus, resources, objective, which I believe is productivity, performance, and payback, what you have to do is you have to work with the local teams, the local executives, the local sales management, and say, well, okay, let's look at your client base. I don't want to talk to the 80% of clients who do virtually nothing with you. Let's focus in on the 20% of clients that are your best clients. Now let's pick 1, 2, or 3 of those, and we will go and talk to those clients together. And initially it's like, I will do the pitch because I know my product. Over the course of time, you'll get the hang of it. And then you can start using and telling people about the product as well. Because initially there needs to be a lot of support around the solution, how it deploys, etc. And this can be a future session. We can talk about the 4 pillars, and we can also talk about how you accelerate the growth. But it comes down to clients, comes down to focus. Don't try and talk to everybody because you're not going to win that. The short-term opportunity is to break into the biggest clients where they know your partner, and your partner walks in and they're the trusted advisor. And when your partner walks in and the CEO of the client says, or the board level says, actually, you know what, because you've walked in with this company, I will talk to you. I'm interested to hear what you've got that's complementary with what we're already buying from our partner. And that's when things start to happen. Of course, there is a sort of a 6th C, which I didn't mention as one of the 5, but I think it is something that if you've got it, flaunt it, is what I call charm, which is the ability to actually get on with people, the way you can actually interact, build bridges, because, I don't know, for all the other reasons we've talked about, you have the ability to communicate properly with people. So I think a bit of charm comes into it as well.
Well, Mike, I think sometimes asking for order can be beating around the bush always, because you don't understand, when to ask, what is the timing, what is a right process ways, so you're always beating the bush. I think this is a very interesting subject, and we cannot finish this in very short period of time. So we will continue our discussion next week on the pragmatic approach towards partnership with the people, by the people, and for the people. Thank you so much for joining us today and giving us all this information, and we'll catch up again in the next show. Mike.
Been a pleasure, and I'm happy to elucidate a little further. Say a little more.
Bye-bye for today. We'll catch up next week.
Yeah, take care, Chandra.
Hello friends, welcome to Akulmac Live, and I'm Chandrakant. Today we will discuss about a great development in UK, where the Prime Minister of United Kingdom has announced increase in taxes to handle the crisis which has been created by pandemic. This is a big step, and that has made a lot of people unhappy. I'll be joined by a very distinguished business personality from UK to discuss this point. Before we welcome our guest, I have to tell you that we are live in this show, and you can use the social media chat function to communicate with us. You have an observation, a suggestion, a comment, or even a question. All that will be displayed live on the screen along with your name. We will actually address your query straight away. So let me welcome my guest today. His name is Mr. Mike Bradley, and he is joining us from UK. He is the Chief Strategy Officer of Scale Up Arena. So without further ado, let's welcome him. Hello, Mike. How are you doing today? Welcome to the show.
I'm very good. I'm very good. Thank you very much, Chandra. Yes, I'm very good. Thank you. And enjoying the sunshine, which I understand is not the case in Delhi today.
Well, Mike, it's raining here. But I think it's a big news. Is one of the trending items globally that the Prime Minister of UK, of your country, has gotten approval and increased the taxes on the corporates. And I personally believe that this is not the best method to handle a crisis. But I think you are the countryman. Your opinion counts. What is your view on this?
Yeah, well, it's, I think there's an increase in dividend tax, and there's also a planned increase in what they call national insurance to fund the extra demands on social care. And yes, I think it's very interesting approach. Not sure that it's one that's universally accepted. Our own local MP has also given, he voted against the introduction of this increase, and has made some very valid points. I tend to be of the same disposition as yourself, feeling that we have to look, particularly in this post-pandemic world, at the whole purpose and approach that we have to public sector funding and the services and how that is done. And just applying a blanket demand for extra tax is not necessarily the correct way to plug the holes and to ensure that in the future the delivery mechanism is of fit for the future purpose, if you like.
Well, Mike, I think usually when the world goes through crisis, each country reacts in a different way. But the increase in taxes is a very unpopular decision by any government for last 2000 years. Even if there was a monarchy and the king increases the tax because if there is a famine somewhere, the king immediately becomes very unpopular. So in a democratic setup, if you increase the tax, I think it's a very unpopular decision, and I'm sure Mr. Johnson knows about this, and still he has taken such a decision. You have any thought process around it? Why he has taken this decision?
No, I don't know what his personal reason was. What I do think is it's a potentially dangerous approach because, the two key parties we have in the UK, one is particularly known for increasing spending by raising taxes, and the Conservative mantra is around being a low tax government and commitments that were made to not increasing taxes. And yes, the pandemic potentially had changed the dynamic. That I think is part of the reason that the change has been made, or this approach has been suggested. However, I think it was fair to say that before looking to increase receipts, there was a good need to look at the efficiency and the effectiveness of existing spending. And it's rather strange that the social care story as one that has been used, because social care in and of itself is means tested. Okay, so it calls into question, if you can have means testing, say, in social care, why can't you have means testing on health benefits or on other services, child benefits, etc.? And these things have been proposed in the past by the Conservative Party, but were shouted down by the Socialist Party, saying that actually these benefits should be universal. But the opposing point of view would say, well, actually, why do you need a universal benefit if somebody's a millionaire? They don't necessarily need this benefit. Therefore, it would not be sensible use of public money to give them money that they don't really need. And the whole contentious point around this is that they're saying, well, actually, this social care is means tested, but other forms of public services are universally applied. And if we, for example, means tested other services, like we do social care, then actually the demand for tax may decrease rather than increase. So I think one of the first things that we can look at is thinking that maybe now's the time to look at the fair apportionment and allocation of cost based upon the need, so that the public sector services become a safety net in some cases. Obviously, things like street lighting, we all need street lighting. So street lighting has to be done through the public sector, but perhaps other on-demand services should be means tested so that the increase in burden of tax should not increase. In addition to which, obviously, the pandemic has shot a lot of local shops. You know, local traders have gone out of business, local businesses have gone, restaurants have gone. And so these are decreasing the tax receipts that the council has, which means there's two options. Either, again, the council says, because we can, we will increase the tax burden and say we want more from those who've got money. Or we take a fresh approach and say, well, actually, let's look at the services we're delivering and either deliver more with less, which is, of course, what the private sector has been doing for decades, or at the very least say, well, actually, what actually needs to be delivered through the public sector versus what could be delivered through the private sector. And we then redress that balance so that the burden of taxation is less, not increased. And of course, there's also the consideration, which is the pandemic has adversely affected a lot of the businesses that are continuing and haven't had to close. And is it fair to burden these businesses with yet more cost and yet more penalties for success at a time when some of those are all also hanging on by a thread? So I think it's not an appropriate time to demand more tax. It's an appropriate time to relook at how we're spending, making sure it's fit for purpose, lean enough for purpose, delivering more with less, giving more to the taxpayers, be they private sector corporates or ordinary tax-paying employees.
Well, Mike, I think your and my thoughts are totally aligned. In fact, the Indian government is also going through the same phase as many other governments, including all governments. All people are facing hardships right now because of lack of business. So India has taken this in a different approach. They have actually created almost like $1 trillion project. And it is meant for public-people partnership. They want to construct a lot of infrastructure. So if citizens have some experience and money with them to build even small infrastructure, that will be taken over by the government. So this is the new project they have started, just announced 10 days back, where and it's called India Infra Pipeline Project. It's a huge thing. And across the length and breadth of such a large country, there will be multiple airports, there'll be roads, railroads, solar power plants. I think there is a huge list of infrastructure that they want to be built, operate, and transfer. And this is almost like $1 trillion new project which the government has launched. So I think that is a better approach, where you are actually paying for and driving the economy by actually, people producing some work rather than taxing, because there is no money for tax. I mean, there is no money for survival. So how you can pay tax? So I think that is where the challenge is, Mike.
I think you're right. I think there are infrastructure projects that need to be developed, but I think we again need to be very careful which infrastructure projects we pin our future hat on. Is it depend, and it's going to depend by region, it's going to depend by country, but should our money therefore be going on improving, I don't know, railroads infrastructure, when perhaps what we really need is to improve the internet superhighway, because more and more business is going to be transacted online. So where does the investment go? And I think we've got to be very, very sure that we know exactly where we should be spending the money for the future strategy. Solar, wind farms. My personal view is we should not be spending more on transport infrastructure. We should be spending more on ensuring that people can work from wherever they happen to live efficiently and effectively, utilizing technology, utilizing digital skills and digital capability. And I don't think that's in any country that is by any means universal right now. And that possibly should be where the infrastructure spending is going. But doing that through private sector, yes, I think we've also got to ensure that that is done in a way that benefits not just the multinationals and the big companies, but benefits the SMEs who can actually supply those services.
Well, I think you are the citizen of UK, and hope your voice is reaching the government over there. But I think you're making a lot of sense. I think there is one more thing I'd like to share from my side, is that in order to support the SMEs, the Indian government has opened up with Singapore, where for the micropayments, the Pay Now platform of Singapore is now linked with the micropayment platform of India, which is called BHIM, BHIM. So if I have to make a payment to a merchant or my vendor in the Singapore, I can just transfer money using BHIM platform. And that has been a big thing, because if I have to send money outside the country, there are big regulations. So for small micropayments, for services, I think up to $100, it's a good thing, because if I have to pay a Singaporean company, I can engage with them, which was not possible so far. So if UK government also follow suit and open up their micropayment platform with India, I think there is a lot of business waiting to happen, because the biggest challenge is how do you collect your payments, and how do you engage with Indian merchants? How do you get paid out of India? So I think this is sure. Your views, Mike.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this whole concept of how SMEs trade with each other needs to be simplified, because once again, at the moment, the system benefits the multinationals. It doesn't make it easy enough for the SMEs, because the SMEs are busy running and doing their own core business. They shouldn't have to wade into tons of red tape and bureaucracy in order to trade with each other. So I agree with the whole idea of micropayments and that sort of thing. What I think is important, though, is that each national country has a mechanism that they support and provide a platform to interact with these different country platforms. That, I think, would be a very useful infrastructure project to invest in, because I think that would open up a lot more opportunities for sure. I think there's always a risk of offshoring what principally will be core to the national economy. And I think there is a risk that it depends on, if I'm hearing you correctly, that Singapore is running this platform and the Indian government are utilizing that platform. What would be interesting, particularly with all the tech skills and knowledge that you have in India, why that platform hasn't been created within India and then linked on a backbone level with international platforms such as the Singapore one.
Well, Mike, let me correct that perception. Basically, we have the world's biggest digital platform because of the population, sheer numbers that the Indians have.
Yep.
And that platform is called Beam. And it is linked to the people's bank accounts using mobile phones. And sure, similar platforms are there across in different countries. And it seems that even Singapore has a similar platform. So now if I have to make a payment to the vendor that I have in Singapore, all I have to do is send him $50 on his mobile phone. It will get directly credited into his bank account. So, we can bypass all the red tapeism here.
Okay.
We don't have to fill 10 forms, go to bank, set up the vendor, all those things for small transactions. Is taken care. So it's basically integrating two platforms, bypassing the foreign exchange rules and giving benefit to small medium enterprises, to SMEs for small payments is what the idea is. Mike.
Okay. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah. Okay. But that's really enlightened and very much a future strategy, and something I think the Indian government does very well, at least, is to look at technology that's coming through the future pipeline and adopting it, such as the way that you're embracing things like solar and embracing new ways of managing, harvesting energy sources, for example. Something I think we all need to do, and need to do with increasing regularity. India, I think, has always been ahead of the game on that. Digital education, I think, is something that India has embraced. And I think there's lessons for the rest of the world, particularly the tertiary Western economies, we've got legacy traditions that means that it takes forever to change the way the tanker is pointing. And I think we need to get much cuter about this and move much faster. And that's, again, I think, where a lot of strategy and vision needs to come from the private sector. And I don't just mean the multinationals and the big, SEMSEX companies, but from the SMEs themselves, who are the future of the economies, such that they can actually influence the way that the economy runs in the future, which is in their interests, which is 99% of the employee base. So SMEs are the driver, whichever global economy you're in, and SMEs need to be listened to. The infrastructure investments and opportunities need to reflect the SMEs' desires for future trading.
So hopefully your government is listening. Is there a possibility of overturning this particular decision of the government, or is it final? You will be taxed more. What is the situation right now?
Well, I think it sounds like this is going through, but what I think there will be a backlash, and what that hopefully, well, I've already this morning been listening to an MP who is raising this very vocally a couple of days ago in the House of Commons, basically saying, look, there are other ways to look at this. One of the statements was that a certain minister at some point said, well, we could cope with 25% less public sector employees than we currently have. And so this particular MP said, well, if that's the case, why aren't we doing it? because that in and of itself would provide a lot of extra resource, maybe to be put into social care already. So why increase taxes if 25% of the the workforce is not required? And also using things like remote working to shut down expensive public sector offices that are no longer needed, rather than funding those, keeping the lights on literally in buildings that are no longer necessary, is not good use of public funds and taxpayers' money. So, that I think the voices are being heard, and voices will increase with their volume and velocity to ensure that things are done properly in the future, because you can't just keep putting your hand into the public pocket and saying, oh, we want more tax, let me pick your pockets for it, whether you be a corporate or an individual.
Well, Mike, I feel sorry because of this. I think the economy is already under a lot of burden. Hopefully, the UK government finds a solution. I think we will keep following this story. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your views. Hopefully, somebody in the governance there consider your ideas, your views. And we will catch up with you next time if there are new developments in this regard. So thank you so much, Mike, for joining us.
Been a pleasure, Chandra, and have a great day. Take care. Bye.
Modi inaugurated another application from Government of India called e-Rupee, which stands for E-RUPI. What is so special about this application that the entire top brass of the financial world is going gaga about? We want to analyze for ourselves. We will also discuss what is the basic difference between e-Rupee and UPI or Bheem payments. So friends, I'll be taking a very short break for some promotional messages, but I'll be joining back with this analysis. So friends, don't go anywhere. I'll be back soon. Friends, have you ever wondered that making a lasting impression online is similar to landing on the moon? If yes, we have a solution for you. Akulmac Genius program will help you prepare for your upwards trajectory towards success in the digital world. Our program consists of 12 unique tailor-made sessions of 1 hour each, spread over 6 weeks. Akulmac Genius program provide you practical knowledge about how to optimally use online video platform with lights, action, camera, as well as crash course in using virtual screens. The program also includes a session on the grooming and online etiquettes, which are important for running your online sessions and webinars. At the end of the program, our participants would be allowed to make their own videos, which will be published on a very popular business channel called Akulmac Live. This will provide global recognition to all our participants. If you like what you hear, then using the link in the description below, join the program straight away or visit www.akulmac.com and click on Genius program to know more. Welcome back, friends. Taking the first step towards having a digital currency in India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched an electronic voucher-based digital payment system called e-Rupee, E-RUPI, yesterday. The platform has been developed by National Payments Corporation of India, NPCI, in partnership with Department of Financial Services, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and National Health Authority. This is a person-specific and purpose-specific payment system. It is so unique. But how does this e-Rupee work? e-Rupee is a cashless and contactless digital payment medium which will be delivered to mobile phone of the beneficiaries in the form of SMS or a QR code. This will essentially be like a prepaid gift voucher that will be redeemable at specific centers without any credit card, debit card, mobile app, or internet banking. eRupee will connect the sponsors of the services with the beneficiary and the service provider in a digital manner without any physical interface. Now, the big question is how these vouchers will be issued. The system has been built by NPCI on its UPI platform and has already onboarded banks that will be the issuing authority. Any corporate or government agency who wish to utilize these e-vouchers will have to approach the partner bank, which are both private and public sector lenders, with the details of specific person and the purpose for which the payment has to be made. The beneficiary will be identified using their mobile numbers, and a voucher allocated by the bank to the service provider in the name of the given person would be issued and be delivered to that person only. So what are the use cases where all this eRupee system can be utilized? eRupee is expected to ensure a leak-proof delivery of welfare services. It is also be used for delivering services under schemes meant for providing medicines and nutritional support under mother and child welfare schemes, tuberculosis eradication programs, drugs, and diagnostic under schemes like Ayushman Bharat, child welfare schemes, and fertilizer subsidies, etc. The government also said that even the private sector can leverage these digital vouchers as a part of their employee welfare and corporate social responsibility programs. And as you know, friends, CSR is a big thing. Nearly all corporates spend about 10% of their profits into CSR activities across India. What is the significance of eRupee and how it is different than the digital currency? Well, the government is already working on developing a central bank digital currency, and the launch of eRupee would be potentially the highlight or highlighting the gaps in digital payment infrastructure that will be necessary for the success of the future digital currency. In effect, eRupee is still backed by existing Indian rupee system as an underlying asset, and specifically for its purpose makes it different to a virtual currency and put it closer to a voucher-based payment system. The Reserve Bank of India had recently said that it has been working towards a phased implementation strategy for central bank digital currency, or CBDC. We will make a specific fully dedicated video in future to explain CBDC very soon. But for now, I think this is very exciting because now India has taken one step closer to having its own digital currency, completely supported by the Central Bank of India. And this eRupee is very exciting because now the sponsorer or the donors will exactly know how the money is being utilized, and the beneficiary is also named in the system. So friends, do write in your comments on this one. And I'm very excited about these changes that the Modi government is doing with regard to engaging new ways of deploying the digital currency systems in India. So friends, I will end my video here and look forward to your comments. Hello friends, this is Chandra from Akulmac Technologies. Welcome to Top Brass. Today we are joined by Vikas Pansal, who has 2 decades of corporate experience. He's worked with many brands across India, and now he's helping a lot of entrepreneurs, startups, and budding professionals in their journey. He is actually playing a role of mentor and coach, and we are very happy to have him here to discuss about lockdown. Welcome to the show, Vikas.
Yeah, thank you, Chandra. You share your name with a very famous personality, right? So,
Well, I think there are many. Which one you're talking about?
no, I'm talking about the boss of TCS as of now,
Oh, okay, okay.
or the Tatas. I wouldn't say TCS here because we remember him as the boss of TCS, but now the boss of Tatas, right?
There was,
Chandra.
when I was in school, there was a notorious character also with the same name.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful.
So, Vikas, I'm very happy to talk to you today, and we are on day 12. We've already crossed
Yes.
2 weeks,
Yes.
2 weeks, and we have few more days to go. So, what is your experience so far? Would you like to share? Because I think you're joining us from Delhi or Gurgaon.
Gurgaon.
How do you see this lockdown affecting you in particular and your neighborhood?
See, I would say everything has a silver lining. Though when I first heard the news of a lockdown, it seemed as if the world had collapsed. So I am not the one who likes to sit in my home per se. And over the last 2 decades, though I've had a mix of roles. I mean, right from sales and distribution to let's say being having a small role in finance to strategy and planning, analytics. So I've been on the field and I've been in the office, but I feel more comfortable in moving out and talking to people, conversing with people. So the first news of this lockdown, when Prime Minister spoke of this initiative, first obviously you had to reconcile with the fact that this is something which has happened. As a human being, many a times we fail to reconcile to the reality. So I believe it took me about a day or two to realize that this has actually happened. And this is something beyond me. I really have to live with it for the next 3 weeks at least. So that's the first reaction which I had to overcome. My first resistance, my own resistance, which I had to overcome in the first 1 or 2 days. That something actually happened and I need to abide by that as a law-abiding citizen. So, so I believe the first 2 or 3 days was still pretty good. It was like an extended weekend. So you come back from work and you suddenly are announced an extended weekend. So first 2 or 3 days, you kind of end up consuming a lot of food. You end up watching a lot of TV, reading a lot of newspaper. I mean, so first 2 or 3 days were pretty fine, kind of an extended holiday. But then again, the reality starts biting you. You can't be doing that every single day. So I believe by the end of the third day, I realized there has to be a proper regime. I still had about 18, 19 days to go. So that's when one sits down and realizes that there's more to life, what can be done. I mean, I'm confined to my home, but that's a great learning opportunity as well. So I believe the paradigm shift happened, Chandra, somewhere on the third day when I realized I had this time to myself. Though obviously, I mean, me, my wife, my parents, my kids, I'm sure my wife takes care of the, but we're all chipping in. So I believe when we sat down and thought about what could be done, what could the kids do, what I could do. So I believe the third day was the day which really changed my life. And it's been a great journey after that. I mean, I have really, if I could use the word, I have really enjoyed this time. Enjoyed as a period of self-development, enjoyed as a period of really getting back to a lot of my friends and acquaintances. A lot of those people who I could not reach out to, not because I never wanted to, but many of these people were really keeping busy all this while. So as of now, I have this period wherein, so if I call you up Chandra, I'm very sure if you're not in a Zoom call, which most people are as on date, they're actually happily waiting for somebody's call. So you're free to call them up. So I mean, it's been a really good time, I would say, since the third day. So last about 8, 9 days has been really good, really productive for me. That's what my thing is.
So so what I'm getting is a lot of positive vibes while talking to you. Um, but one thing which I get after you spoke is that I think things are going to change forever. The way we do business and how do we talk to people. So do you have any observation on how things will pan out once the lockdown is lifted?
Yeah, I believe, and I had an interesting. So I posted a video on similar lines this very Tuesday. I mean, about 5 days back, and I actually spoke about the scenarios which would unfurl once this lockdown is lifted. First, I'm a firm believer that whatever changes are happening in our environment that we see, some of these changes will definitely become permanent. Not that we were not conversant with technology, right? I believe some of us are fortunate to have an access to this technology that we're using right now. So we were pretty conversant with this all these years. I mean, we've had all these Skype calls and WhatsApp video calls. So, but many of these changes will now start becoming permanent as a routine feature in our daily lives. So, and I also spoke about something in my video where not that, so once the normalcy returns, which it will, let's say a couple of days or a couple of weeks down the line, we will still start frequenting malls. We will get back to our sports events, get back to movies. I'm a big fan of movies, right? We'll get back to all those activities. But I believe the frequency just might reduce. So if I was a person who used to watch 12 movies in a year, I'm talking about going to a theater and watching a movie, right? If I was to go every single month, I don't know. As of now, I feel I just might cut it down to about 6 movies a year. I don't know. I mean, that's what my feeling is now. So some of these outings just might reduce, is what my feeling is. And then technology. So I use the word where technology, I would say, will no longer be an enabler. As of now, we always see technology as an enabler in whatever work we're doing, in trying to increase. So technology helps us to increase our efficiency, is what we look at. I believe now technology will be an integral part of our lives, not just an efficiency tool. So these are some of the things which I see happening even after the lockdown ends. Now, for some of us who have kids, I mean, believe me, their life is really going to change. They're all getting pretty used to this technology stuff. I really, though I'm not a very firm believer in kids going through Zoom classes, right, and schools engaging with them over technology. But it again hardly matters whether I'm a believer or not. This is here to stay. I mean, most of the schools that I know of in Delhi NCR, I don't know about the other areas, but most of the schools in this area have really geared up, and this could be a boon for students because you have all kinds of breaks up in North India. If you're conversant with, you have sometimes an extended summer break because of the adverse weather. Then you have now a new pollution break. For many of our audiences who are living in the other part of the country, they wouldn't understand what this pollution break is. But we have this annual, a few days of pollution break. Then we have an extended winter break again because of adverse winter conditions. Technology will really come to our rescue now. So I believe some of these things which we're getting used to are really going to be a permanent feature. That's what my belief is.
So I think you raised very pertinent questions. I think there is an immediate opportunity for uh, homeschooling kind of an application where students can study as they were doing normally in the school. Similarly, there could be an opportunity for innovation with regard to the office-based solutions. In fact, if I want to share some experience of my own company, because we work in the startup and the SME arena, and we are sort of 80% online even before the lockdown. So it took us
Okay.
hardly one day to transition everybody on virtual office. So,
Wow.
so that's let me share my experience. What is happening is, I see all these people working from home because everybody is working because we don't want to, being a small company, we don't want to let go the revenue. So now, as a team leader or as a leader of the company, I am exposed to the personal life of the people because not everybody is fortunate to have a home office kind of a scenario. So they
Sure.
are converting bedrooms and whatever area, convenient area. So I am not only exposed to their work, which I was earlier doing, I'm also getting exposed to their personal life. So I think as a leader, I have to be within quotes. I have to be uh, adjusting enough to get exposed to that. And then there are requests coming that, hey, I will work for 8 hours for the company, but I work 4 hours. because the young parents don't have any avenue to leave their toddlers out. So they will work
Right.
4 hours in the morning, then they'll take a break because their wife they have to look after their children, and then they'll work another 4 hours. So a lot of these permutation combinations are now, at least as a leader, I'm getting exposed to. I'm sure a lot of people, other people who are in a different scenario, who work in a different kind of industry, or who work in a different segment, there may be a lot of inputs coming in from this experience.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned about you having a sneak peek into your associates' lives per se, you mentioned about that. So, in fact, I read a very interesting article written by Nikhil, one of my friends. He posted it on LinkedIn a couple of days back, wherein he used the terminology of not working from home, but working at home. And I also kind of narrated the same in my video, which I posted. It's a different scenario. I mean, as you rightly pointed out, some of us who are fortunate to have a separate space, we've converted so I have converted altogether a room in my house. So I have slightly a bigger house. So I have converted an entire room to my office. But for people who didn't have spaces, I mean, I know of my friends who really literally converted one of their bedrooms, right, to an office. So kind of no longer working from home, but working at home. You need an office at home now. So again, a paradigm shift. Yes. So incidentally, what you just mentioned.
Right. So I think it is very enlightening to talk to you and get this perspective. What is your advice to some of the viewers of this particular show? Because I think the lockdown is not going to stop at 21 days. Presumption is it will continue for some more time, or it will be released in phased manner.
In phased
Because,
manner, yes.
because pandemic is upon us, it's not going to disappear just like that.
Absolutely.
What do you think we should do as humanity, and so that we are streamlined in a positive direction?
See, I would say this is again. So the current situation is like we are at war with someone, right? So we definitely will have to be confined, as you rightly pointed out. Even if the lockdown ends, it'll end in. So we'll have a phased end to the lockdown. It'll not be a 0 and 1. It'll not be a digital kind of an end to a lockdown. So, so again, I would say, what can we do to improve our value per se? So that's what my only message is to anybody who's watching this video. See, again, this is the reality. Come to terms with the reality. That reality might last another 9 days, might last another 12 days, 15 days. We're still not sure about how many days we're still going to be in this phase. So what can be done? So I would say, first of all, take out some time and enjoy. You know what happened, Chandra? So when this lockdown started, everybody was kind of enjoying for the first 2 3 days. But now I've been calling up a lot of my friends who still happen to be in corporate jobs. Thankfully, I'm out of a job now. I run my own venture like you do. So people who are still in jobs, I don't know if you've experienced this. Since last week, they extremely got busy. Everybody's kind of on a call since morning till about late in the evening on a video call. I don't know how productive is that. So are you literally getting consumed in too much of work? You're not being too productive. So take some time out for enjoyment is what my message is first of all. It's a golden opportunity spending some time with your family. Are you dedicating some time? Now, I have two kind of grown up kids. I wouldn't say exactly grown up, but yeah, in high school kids. I'm possibly making a point to spend some time with them even in front of the TV. I mean, we have two epic serials being shown. I mean, am I doing something? Can I do something to inculcate some good values in them? Possibly I can make them sit in front of the serial, in front of the TV when you have the Ramayana and Mahabharata being telecast. So, as parents, do we have some responsibility towards our kids, except for asking them to attend their maths and the science classes? So, I mean, this is the time to really do things which you've not done. Can you pick up a small book which you always thought about reading? You will definitely have an access to that book online. Can you actually watch a movie which you always wanted to? Can you actually do something which you always wanted to, but you're still confined? And you can do, which you can manage within the confines of your house. So, I mean, this is the time which will pass. But what is the value add that you do within yourself, within your family, or even within your peer group? And again, I spoke about something in my video. can you actually call up some friends? As I told you, I've been calling up 3 to 5 friends every day. I mean, I'm not saying message them. Can I talk to them? Everybody is available right now. Can you talk to 3 or 4, 5 friends? Can you talk to somebody who you spoke for 2 years back? I mean, there's a lot to do. And believe me that these new connections which you're establishing today will help you, will come to your leverage in the long run. So I mean, I'm saying do something to keep yourself engaged, and there are enough and enough things. Just summarize, do something for enjoyment, do something with the kids, call up your friends, and obviously carry on with your routine work. So there's a lot to be done.
There's a lot to be done. It's a great pleasure talking to you, Vikas, today. I'm sure we will find another opportunity very soon to talk to you once again. We've got a few more days. I think the lockdown is continuing. And before the lockdown ends, we'll talk once again.
Thank you.
And be positive, be safe.
Thank you. Thanks, Chandra.
Bye-bye for today. Hello friends, welcome to Akul Mac Live. I'm Chandrakant. Today everybody is working from home, and because of that there is always easy access to our televisions. Whenever we switch on the television sets, we always hear something sensational. You know, whenever you switch on, whether it is day, night, in the afternoon, the news channels are creating so much sensation nowadays, so that you're always glued on to the news channels. Also, you keep thinking about these sensational news which are being fed to you, whether these news are fiction, facts, or fakery. We will discuss this today with our special guest who is joining us from UK. Before we start our discussion, I must tell you there is a QR code right now on the screen, and this is a very user-friendly way to get connected with us. All you have to do is point your camera from your mobile phone onto this QR code while the video is still running, and you will get connected to us instantly. We will start our discussion after a short break. Please don't go anywhere, as an outstanding show coming up right now. Welcome back, friends. And today we have a very interesting thing to discuss with our guest today, Mr. Naval Gund. Welcome to the show, Naval.
Good morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, we've got a very interesting subject today, which CK and I have been talking about for, well, ever since we were little lads watching the BBC back in the 1960s, where everything was a fact. The news reporter came on the TV and you were glued to it because there was only like 5 minutes, and you were glued to these facts that were being shown. And some were amazing facts, like the Apollo missions of, you know, the Americans and the Chinese and the Russians going into the space arena and doing wonderful things. And we all went, oh, wow, isn't that wonderful? Isn't that brilliant? And we were being fed this information, and we were taking it in and thinking, wow, it's brilliant, you know, this is great. And then we were hearing about wars, and we were thinking, this isn't so brilliant. We need to stop it. But they were facts, not fake news, but factual news. And today, I think, CK, what we've found is there's too much speculation out there that's stopping us thinking, that's feeding our mind with gossip, innuendo, what ifs, what might be, what never will be, but we're going to discuss it anyway because it's interesting. And I can see you've got a bit of a smile on your face there. So come on, you must have been seeing things recently that it's just all gossip. It's not real facts.
Naval, basically, I keep having a discussion with my father, because my father is always fond of news, because he's from the generation where they used to read newspaper. In fact, when we were kids, we were taught to read the newspaper before we go to the school. So I think that's the habit that the previous generation had. And they literally believe, my father literally believes whatever is being shown on the TV. And he also give examples. It came in the newspaper, whereas there is no newspaper around, So it's like, it's like proving the point that, hey, this news is absolutely accurate and correct because it came in the newspaper. Even though he has seen that on the TV. So I think the reality of the situation is that I don't believe whatever is being shown on the TV. And I definitely have debate with my father about what he is believing, and it may not be true. I think that is where we are today.
No, I think you're right. I mean, as you say, your father and my father, similar age. My father's sadly passed away, but I have these arguments with him even now. Really, when I'm thinking about it, he says the written word, that newspaper that used to come to the home every morning, and our teachers would say you need to read around the subject. How many times when you went to university did your teacher say read around the subject? In other words, I mean, the internet wasn't there when I was at university. We had a huge library, and the only reading around the subject was physically going to somewhere and reading a book, reading literature, reading a pamphlet, reading a magazine. And you believe they were all facts, as we do with our holy books, but they're all facts. Why? Because they're so many thousand years old, they've got to be facts. They've been proven time and time again. But today, I think we need to take a step back, and we need to start thinking of the reality that it is for us. So if we see, for instance, we see wars all over the world. We see fighting in the street. But does that mean when you open your front door, there's fighting in your street? Now, I know people that think that that's happening, and they won't go to their front door because what they see on the news, they're translating in their mind to say, well, this must be downtown where I am. And it doesn't take a lot of imagination to work out that actually that it could well be true in the future. But the thing is, it's not true now. And it's a lot of speculation that's happening out there that we need to start thinking for ourselves. Did I really hear that? Well, actually, let me flick to another channel, because we can do that. We can flick to it. I mean, there are so many news channels out there, frankly. You can flick to another one. And don't get used to listening to one person, because if you just listen to one person, you're not really necessarily getting the truth. You're getting the interpretation of that one individual. And this is where influence around the world are having a big impact on people. Oh, I've seen it on Instagram. It's a brilliant, it's a diet pill. It's absolutely fantastic. It works for them. Yes, they're getting paid thousands of dollars to tell you, because they're an influencer, that this diet pill works. Go and Google diet pill and doctors and the Lancet, and you will find there's a lot of information out there where doctors basically say you can fall for this if you like, but actually you need to change your life. You need to change your lifestyle to improve your condition, to improve your health. So, and again, a lot of this is common sense, but common sense isn't common practice. But I think the message for today is give yourself a reality check. Please don't believe everything you see on the TV. It's not real. Just like Star Wars, it's not real. It might be sometime in the future if we've got Jeff Bezos's world or Richard Branson's world that wants to push the final frontier. It may well be in the future, but it's not real today. And the thing about this is you've got some fantastic directors, TV and film directors out there that make it look like reality. And you get carried away into it, but it's not reality. Elements of it are very true because there are people there and people think like people. Now, that can be good news, but actually it can be bad news too. So the message today is give yourself a reality check. When you see something on the TV, take a second look. It may just be an advert that you would like to see happening. But opposed to that, it could be just a bit of fake news. And the other thing is, of course, I don't think any of these news programs that are out there are deliberately putting things out there to make us all feel bad. It's just that that's the way news is. Bad news sells. Any publicity is good publicity. Don't you remember that phrase? Or was it Wanamaker, as it once said, back in the sort of 50s? If I know that 50% of our advertising is working, I just wish I knew which 50% it was. And it would make life so much easier. And so such is true with reality check on the TV, on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. Some things that are out there aren't necessarily real. Only you can apply that reality check. But you need to do it. And the only way you can do that is start thinking and having a good conversation with people like CK here. Go and have a chat with him because he's got his 1 foot firmly rooted to the ground. So, good subject for today, CK. It's a bit big, isn't it, really? We're trying to make it light-hearted, but it is quite an intellectual discussion when you start to delve into the reality of life. What's real? What's imaginary? What is pure fiction that we've created? What say you?
Well, Neville, I think the whole media business is run by the advertisers, and there is something called TRP. I don't know whether you've heard that word in UK. There is something called TRP. So in India being such a large country, the TRP numbers are off the roof, actually, if you look at the numbers. And everyone is fighting for getting the highest TRP for their video channel. And in the media business, the top one takes all. When I say top one takes all, that means the highest TRP channel will get all the advertising credits, whatever they can get. So if somebody is selling his car or some other merchandise, they will always go to the highest TRP bidders. And their pricing for advertising runs for 10 seconds and a batch of 10 seconds. So you can imagine, there is so much money riding on these channels. And that is why they sensationalize every news. So if you switch on the TV, there is always some sensational activity going on the TV. So I think that is one thing which is wrong. And I think time has come right now to pay for the media, because so far when we switch on the TV, we actually get free media. And we are fed certain fiction, which is either created by certain lobby or even by governments. We don't know. We have no way to evaluate that. And you gave the suggestion of watching multiple channels and analyze. I don't think everybody will be able to do that, because it takes a lot of time. What I feel is possible is coming out with a paid media where people actually pay their good money, and hence media is not dependent on TRPs and advertising, and they will be coming out with the real facts because they are getting paid from the viewers directly. This is what my suggestion is.
Well, a lot of people can't handle the truth. They don't like facts. They like to live in their little bubble. But I think now it's got to such high proportions that we can be taken in by the biggest scams out there. And I think this is another message that I'm saying at the moment. I get inundated with texts and telephone calls. Typically, this is Amazon. Your contract will renew for $79.99. Now, I pay $9.99, $7.99 for Amazon, And if someone said, this is Amazon, and, immediately you start to wake up and you think, oh, $79.99, I've gone for the premium package. Press 5, and all of a sudden you're charged £100 because you've actually pressed 5. And it apparently is perfectly legal. They've got round, the law somehow, and you can get really stung quite badly. And scams on emails. I've had emails from Coca-Cola, and then when I look at it, it says Coca-Cola1.com. That's not from Coca-Cola, but the headline is in there. It says Coca-Cola because they've managed to manipulate their Outlook to make it look like it's Coca-Cola. So this is scam arena, and it starts with you being gullible by looking at what you're watching and believing every single word. So this has got a much bigger issue. Cybersecurity is a massive topic, such a big topic that I'll be launching something brand new next year around cyber kids, helping our young children utilize the internet properly so they can get the benefit from it without being subject to personal grooming or bullied. This is a huge issue. We've seen it with even the England team. These are grown-up men, and they're being cyber-bullied by complete idiots, frankly, who have got nothing better to do than to make your life hell. Well, if you had huge resilience, you could just brush it off. My parents used to say, my mother in particular, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. So call me what you like, folks. I'm really not bothered. It's not going to hurt me. And that's what we need with our young children. You've got young kids, CK. They need to become resilient, not obnoxiously resilient, so that, get out of my way. I'm more important than anybody else. But just personally resilient and competent so that they live and they're respectful of other people. But they're also smart, and they can sniff a scam from 100 yards or 100 meters, depending on how you measure. And that's what we need. And we're losing that ability. And unfortunately, we're losing it because we're being bombarded with all of this stuff that they call social media. Starts with the TV, goes onto the internet, and it's on all of these platforms. Just start looking at yourself. What do I believe? Why do I believe it? Do I really like this person? And the point is, it's your life. It's not theirs. Don't let them influence you unnecessarily. So there's a much, much bigger message here, but it all starts with taking that reality check. And if you don't know, if you listen to it, and you think, oh, actually, maybe there's a bit of truth in that, have a conversation with someone else so that you can then discuss it amongst yourself as to whether or not it's real and how, even if it is real, what impact it's going to have in your world. Because there are a lot of things out there that we cannot affect. We cannot change. But one thing we can change is how we react to it. So it's a huge subject, CK, and as I say, we've delved into the other side now, the cybersecurity issue, that personal protection, the grooming, the scams, and it all starts with you. How good are you at listening to what's really going on out there? Fascinating subject, CK. Thanks for raising it today, and hopefully it's given people a bit of food for thought.
Yes, Nabil, I think this is very important, and I think the message has been driven. Hopefully viewers start following what you just gave as an advice. This is a very vast subject. We can pick one of these leaf of the discussion today and then make 24-hour long series, but I think we are not going to do that. Thank you so much for finding time and just touching the upper level of this whole problem which is affecting all of us today. But we will catch up with you tomorrow on something more interesting.
Absolutely, CK. And just like anything else, all we've done is scratch the very tip of an iceberg. And we all know what icebergs are. There's about 10% above the water and 90% below. And it's the 90% below that we need to get to, because that's where it's going to make a big impact. Nice to see you, CK. Good luck, everybody. Enjoy your day. Don't believe everything you hear.
Bye-bye for today.
Cheerio.
Friends, we love our gold. We love having this yellow metal in our possession. Many battles have been fought. Many journeys have been undertaken by humans in search of this yellow metal called gold. But have you ever wondered how this much gold reached Earth? Or is it that only Earth has the gold, or this gold can be found on other planets in our solar system? And if you look around, friends, in fact, I will point this as a challenge for you. Most of the known gold mines on the surface of the Earth have been excavated completely, almost bone dry. There is no gold left now to excavate, and whatever gold we see in the form of ornaments, etc., is basically the recirculation of the gold, where people actually buy and sell gold, and that is under recirculation. Fresh gold is almost over. But gold is something which is a heavier element, as you know already, that gold is not produced in the cores of the star. Now, when we talk about production of different elements in the core of the star, in fact, we are all made of star material, because hydrogen is basically used by stars core as a nuclear engine, and by combining hydrogen it produces higher elements. So first with helium, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and go on, the process goes on till the star core reaches iron. So in nutshell, we are all made of star material, because all the material which is found in human bodies or living things has come from star. So once the star reaches its age, it explodes, spreading this material across the universe. And when the new stars, new bodies are formed, these materials are taken into those bodies. So this is why I say that we are made of star material. However, the gold is not produced within the core of the star, because the production of new elements stops when it reaches the iron. And why iron? Because on the periodic table, iron periodic number is 60. And if you combine two iron atoms, the addition of a number of protons and neutrons in iron atom is 60, and if you combine with another one, it will be another 60, so 120. Now there is no naturally occurring element with 120 protons and 120 neutrons. Therefore, this combination is very unstable and it is not successful. So once the core of the star is becomes iron, the gravity takes over and crushes the star, and depending on the weight of the star, different things are formed, starting with white dwarf, which our sun will become when it reaches the end of its life, to neutron star. If the sun is 5 to 6 times bigger from its current size, the eventual end of such a star will result into a neutron star, which is everything is made of neutron. There is no elements inside neutron star. And the third kind is, the star is even bigger when it is actually collapsing under its own weight. It can become a black hole. So let's talk about gold again, going back to gold. If the star cannot produce gold, then in what condition gold is produced? Now, there is enough proof And the proof is that when the star goes supernova, in that split second, a minuscule amount of heavier elements, including uranium, is formed, which includes copper, silver, platinum, and all those heavier elements, including uranium, is formed in that split second. But is that enough? It is not enough. There are other processes in our universe which help create these heavier elements, and these are the cosmic collisions. So in case there are two neutron stars which are colliding with each other, that uh, collision will result into a black hole. After two neutron stars combine, the resultant after that will be a black hole. But this whole collision itself will create a huge burst of energy, and it is called type A supernova. It's a huge explosion. So when the two neutron star collide, the gold is formed. And also, recently, some of the German astronomers have found that the material which revolves around the black hole, which is called accretion disk, has the properties of same conditions which exist in collision of two neutron stars, and therefore the accretion disk also produces heavier elements while the material is rotating just outside the event horizon of black hole. So there are 2 to 3 occasions when the heavier elements are formed. Now let's look at the earth. These heavier elements are rare. They are not found like a simple dust uh, outside our doorstep. These heavier elements are very in very limited quantities, and that is why the price of these elements, which is gold, silver, uranium, is determined by the availability of these elements. So because if they are less available, that means the prices are going to go up. That is why in terms of our economy, gold is more expensive than iron, and so on and so forth. Heavier the element, more expensive it gets, and more scarce it gets into universe. So that is why gold is very scarce. However, there is enough gold on earth so that it can fulfill the desire and lust of 7 billion people, and it has helped shape our history, and also it continues to shape our future. Today's economy is directly pegged to gold. How much gold you have, and that is why the country will be richer. If you remember, friends, and if you're Indian, you know that the India was known as Soni ki Chidiya, which actually translate into bird of gold. There is so much gold in India that it attracted a lot of invaders coming into India and take this wealth away in the form of gold. Now, I think these are all these are the things which we are affected day by day. But I think the moot question is how we got this gold, or is there gold available in other planets, especially rocky planets in the neighborhood like Mars, Venus, and Mercury? I bet it is. I fully bet the solar system must have passed through a collision dust in our history, and when the solar system passed through this dust of the remnant of these black hole accretion disk, that is how the planets in our solar system picked up this gold. I feel this must be a rare phenomena, and gold is not something which produce every day. There are very special conditions required to produce gold, and that is why this finding by these German scientists and astronomers that the solar system passed through the debris or dust left behind a black hole accretion disk, and that is how this material was trapped by the sun gravity and then eventually reached the planets, because these planets were forming billions of years back, and that's why our solar system must be very rich in gold. So friends, I think this is something which I thought I'll bring to your attention, that the material that we have and we take it for granted, there are special conditions which are there to bring this material for our consumption. and we should not take it for granted. But I want to know your opinion, your thoughts around this. If you have any suggestion or any comment, do write in and I will respond to you in my best capability. However, I will meet you in the next one. Hello, friends. This is Chandrakant, and welcome to Legal Matters. And as you know, that we discuss legal matters in this series, where we have an expert, Mr. Jeet Bhatt, who joins us from Ahmedabad. So, Jeet, let me welcome you first before we start our discussion. So, welcome to the show, Jeet.
Thank you very much, Chandrakant. Good morning and a very warm welcome to you as well. Thank you to you as well for inviting me to this show.
Yes, Jeet. So I think the discussion topic today is, about what is happening with Republic TV, and we all know that 1,000 people from Republic TV have been under an FIR, and this may have a long-term effect. So, would you be kind enough to tell us from the legal standpoint what it means and why this is happening?
Yes, certainly, Chandrakant. It is in the news these days, and we are seeing on TV channels as well. This is the topic of discussion these days. But this raises some very important questions regarding the right press and also the restrictions on the press and how important the role of media is today in our democratic setup. Media is considered to be the fourth pillar of democracy, as apart from judiciary, executive, and the legislature. And it has become such an important source of transferring information and giving up-to-date knowledge to the viewers and the citizens. Media certainly has the role of media is increased in last several years, and today we have 24 hours news channel providing news to the citizens around the clock. But right now we see there is a lot of uh, investigations and FIRs being registered against media houses, especially what is happening against Republic TV and against Arnab Goswami. So basically, in last couple of months, around 4 FIRs have been registered against Republic TV and its anchor as well as its owners. So it started from the Palghar incident in Maharashtra, where first FIR came to be registered for instigating communal tension and spreading hatred. So this was the first FIR. Then thereafter, the second FIR was registered with regards to the migrant problem in Bombay during lockdown. And thereafter, another third FIR was with regards to this TRP rigging case. And fourth, recently, last week, the FIR that is registered against the Republic TV is for the story which was published on 22nd October regarding the biggest story tonight, the show, wherein allegations were leveled against the police commissioner of Bombay. And the FIR says that the story, which was aired on 22nd October, tries to incite disaffection amongst police personnel against the police commissioner and also maligns the police image. So these are the 4 FIRs which have been registered in a couple of months' time. And probably, as it is being said by Republic TV, that this is a witch hunt and at the hands of the top leaders of Maharashtra. But the matters have reached the courts, and the courts are hearing the matter. But this raises two important questions. One is the freedom of press, and the second is what are the restrictions or reasonable restrictions that can be imposed, and whether the freedom of press is absolute and unfettered, or whether there can be any restrictions, or there can be some reasonable restrictions which can be put on the right to press in India. With regards to this TRP case, the facts which have emerged are that uh, some houses whose TVs have been fixed with barometers were they were bribed to watch certain channels, so the certain channels TRP ratings would come high. And one of the TV channels, as alleged, is Republic TV, and the other two TV channels are some Maharashtrian local TV news channels. So this is the allegation against them, and this against all these FIRs. Petitions have been filed before the High Court for quashing of these FIRs, as these FIRs, the accused say, are an abuse of the process law, and the matters are still pending before the High Court. Even one matter reached to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court for FIRs in a short period of time is slightly unusual, and also FIR based on some show saying that this incites disaffection amongst police personnel is also unusual, and probably this is the first time I am hearing that such FIR is filed against a TV channel based on such reporting. So certainly it is unusual, and it appears if 4 FIRs in a short period of time against one news channel, it appears to be some sort of it prima facie gives a picture that it appears to be some sort of a witch hunting targeting some person in the media. But let us talk about what is freedom of speech and expression, and how this covers the uh, gives right to the freedom of press, and also what can be the reasonable restrictions.
So
Freedom of speech and expression, yes.
before you begin on that subject, Jeet, in fact, I would like to also tell the viewers that the law which has been invoked against Republic TV has been invoked after 98 years, and after 1928, even the British felt very in a hot seat when they were using this law to put the freedom fighters in jail. So even the British had a lot of challenges, and after from 1928 till India got independence, this law was not used by British, and it was used once again during the emergency. So this is a law under which Republic TV and its staff has been booked. Is a very rare uh, law which has never been used in independent India except during the emergency, and even during British Raj for a certain time it was used until 1928. So I think the use of such laws in India, in independent democratic, India, it's unprecedented. And I think, Jeet, you can talk about what is the impact of of this action by the government and the police of Maharashtra on the democracy of the entire Indian as a country, as a region.
Right. So you rightly pointed out this is the first time in modern history that such sections have been invoked and an FIR has been registered. So this shows that that this appears to be draconian, and it is rarely used, and therefore sometimes something which is rarely used can also be misused, and it seems to be an attack on the right of press in India, and therefore it has to be curtailed. And I think the High Court will come down heavily upon such FIR if it is found to be frivolous. But right now investigations are going on, and we will come to know ultimately at the end of the investigation. But you are right that such sections are not usually invoked, and it is very rare, because it always raises a question regarding the freedom of press, which it is a fundamental right not just of the press houses but also of the citizens to get information. So, so therefore, this does raise some important questions on democracy and the right of citizens, and also the rights of these media houses who are providing information and running the news channel. But what can be the reasonable restrictions? So, freedom of speech is guaranteed under Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution, and it involves the right to express by word of mouth, writing, printing, picture, or any other matter. And it includes the freedom of communication and the right to propagate or publish one's views. So this is the freedom of speech and expression, which is guaranteed under the Constitution and is a fundamental right of every citizen in this country. Even the press and media have the same right of freedom and expression, because there is no particular right of media under the Constitution except the freedom of speech and expression. So this is the right of media is covered under Article 19(1)(a), that is the freedom of speech and expression. So it gives the right to right to an individual to write, publish, circulate, and broadcast information. The press derives this right from right to freedom of speech and expression in Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution. The restrictions under the Constitution which can be imposed on this right are given under Article 19, subclause 2, which constitute reasonable restrictions. And this can be on the ground that the interest of the sovereignty and integrity of India is being compromised, or the security of the state, or the friendly relations with foreign state, or it disturbs public order, public decency, morality, or it is in relation to contempt of court, or defamation, or incitement to an offense. So these are the 5 or 6 restrictions which are imposed under the Constitution. And I will again repeat, they are if it compromises the interest of the sovereignty and integrity of the country, the security of the state, it harms the friendly relations with foreign states, or it disturbs public order, public decency, or it is harmful to the morality of the country, or it is in relation to contempt of court, or it is defamatory, or it incites, or it is an incitement to an offense. So these are the 6 or 7 restrictions which are imposed under the Constitution. Apart from this, if it does not cover, if any reporting or if any writing or any type of information does not disturb the security of the country or harms the morality, public decency, or public order, or it is in contempt of court, then the press has a right to express and give its opinion and give a fair reporting of the matter.
So for
So
an
these are the restrictions. Yes.
for an average Indian, I think they are totally dependent on what they hear from the press. And if the press is muzzled like this with malicious intent, um, can they really do it? I mean, is there a provision in the law to prevent such malicious activities which are malified?
So, well, as I said, that these are the restrictions under which the right of press is covered. But if it does not fall under this any of these restrictions, then the right to an extent is absolute, and it is most important right under the Constitution. So there cannot be any malicious attack on the freedom of press. But within the reasonable framework of law, if any information which is given is of such a nature which is not in public order, or it is not in the morality, or it is not incites communal tension, then certainly action can be taken. But then because it is a fundamental right of freedom of speech and expression, it has it has to be strictly um, given full liberty, and unnecessary or trivial sort of restrictions should not be. That is important, because it's a fundamental right. It is not an ordinary civil right. It's a fundamental right, and therefore any restriction which is supposed to be imposed on these rights will have to be very strictly construed, and only if it is strictly falls within the parameters or the restrictions, then only it can sustain. Otherwise, it is an attack on the fundamental right. So therefore, courts do come down heavily upon such attacks on fundamental right.
So I think, Jeet, in fact, we used to see these kind of things only in movies, but I think now we are seeing this in real life, where the benefactor of law are really becoming the villains. It appears so. We don't know. I think the matter should be decided by the courts, but it appears so.
Right. So yes, 4 FIRs in a very short period of time, it is slightly unusual, and it to a ordinary eye would appear to be a sort of a witch hunt. But ultimately, the courts have to decide, and it is at large before the court. So that we must trust the courts in this country, and I'm sure the courts will come up with the correct decision. But basically, the rights of the media, if I may just point out, broadly, which are given under the Constitution and by way of several judgments of the Supreme Court, is one to publish and circulate information and opinions, which is part of the right of freedom of speech and expression. Also, the right to dissent, which is not to agree with any opinion or given dissent to any of the policies or uh, framework of the government. And it is right to receive information, which is the right of every citizen. The right to conduct interviews. The media persons have a right to conduct interviews, and that have been that is a part of right to freedom of speech and expression. Then there is right to report court proceedings, because media persons, journalists have a right to attend proceedings in court and uh, publish a proper and faithful report of the proceedings that are witnessed and heard in court. Then right to advertise, that is also part of right to freedom of speech and expression, and it has been upheld by the Supreme Court in several judgments. These are broadly the rights of the press and media, uh, which are which have been interpreted and given brought under the meaning of right to freedom of speech and expression by various judgments of the Supreme.
Jeet, I have a fundamental question, and you can probably express your opinion. Like in United States, if there is a malified and false implication of anyone by the authorities, the people who are involved in those kind of activities have to pay the damages from their own pocket. So, do you think the time has come to basically build these laws so that the power cannot be misused in India?
Well, yes, that's a very important question, because a lot of times we see that wrong prosecutions are initiated and ultimately it results into acquittal. And acquittals, ultimately, it is a waste of public money, waste of court's time, that illegal and wrongful prosecutions were initiated. So time has come that the responsibility should be fixed upon these persons, and they must be made accountable, those who initiate wrong prosecution. But there is a provision under the IPC wherein if anybody initiates wrong prosecution, they can be held liable. But with regards to tortious liability, that is compensation, I think that law must now develop, and courts must grant high compensation. And that, yes, you are right. That to that extent, yes, I agree that now the time has come that compensation should be awarded in cases where wrongful prosecutions have been initiated.
So I think, Jeet, I think it was very useful for us to understand this whole scenario, because we are seeing in the TV every day, but I think some of the viewers may not know the implications. I think thank you so much for covering this in quite a good detail, and I think you have also expressed your opinion what should be done next. So it was a pleasure talking to you this morning, Jeet.
Thank you very much, Chandrakant, for having me and discussing on this topic.
So we will catch up next Thursday again on some other legal topic. Until then, I say you goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Hello, friends, and world over, the life is now slowly but steadily coming back to normal. However, there are some permanent changes which has this pandemic has left us with, and it is still not over. I think in many countries, people are talking about the third wave. These are the situations which are reality, and in such a situation, how do we create new market creation and ideation for new business plans? To discuss this very important subject, I will be joined by Mr. Mike Bradley, who is the founder of Scale Up Arena, and he's joining us today from UK. So let's welcome him. Good morning, Mike. How are you doing today? Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Chandra. I'm good, thank you. And we got a nice, clear blue sky here this morning. A bit fresh, not as warm as Delhi, but certainly a very pleasant day and a good way to start on Monday morning.
Well, Mike, it's good to see you. And I think as we are setting up into winters, the memories of lockdown is going in the back of the mind, and a lot of business people are now gearing up to reinitiate their business plans. But I think the biggest challenge is how do we get the ideas out? Do you have a suggestion to our business people who are now trying to re-engage with the business community world over, how they should get their new ideas out?
Well, I think it's a state of mind. Being creative is something that you have to be tuned into. You have to use it. I think creativity is a bit like a muscle. If you don't use it, then it gets weak and you won't come up with ideas. So I think you've got to be open-minded. I think you've got to be prepared to be wrong 9 times out of 10, maybe 99 times out of 100. But keep those ideas coming. If you've got an idea every day, that's 365 days a year that you're going to come up with an idea. And maybe one of those will actually turn into something useful. And so that for me is crucial, is the creative process and allowing the creative process to shine through. Don't be closed-minded. Don't think, oh, it hasn't been done, therefore we can't do it. It's like, oh, it hasn't been done, therefore maybe that's a good opportunity.
Well, I think once we have got an idea and we think that this is a great idea, how do we evaluate an idea which is business worthy? I mean, we may get 10 ideas, but only one we will take it forward. How do we evaluate which is business worthy?
Well, I think one of the first things we have to do is we have to talk to people around us, share a degree of information about this idea with people, bounce it off of people, bounce it off potential target clients, get their thoughts. Do they think, oh no, that's rubbish, I'd never use it? The other key question I think we can always ask ourselves is, if somebody was trying to sell this to me, would I buy it? And if the answer to that is no, then probably you haven't got a business. So I think you can always ask yourself, would I buy this? And if the answer to that is no, then wait for tomorrow's idea, because maybe today's won't work. But that said, if once you've decided, actually, you know what, yeah, I think there's something in this, there is a demand for it. With Scale Up Arena, for example, it was something that has been talked about for several years by various people within the growth company market, saying, oh, we need this service, we need that service, we need the other service. So we knew there was a market for it. And that was a case of actually ensuring that we addressed it properly. So we had the vision, we had the mission, we had the mantra. There was a degree of information in the market which said, yes, this is what's required to help companies grow. Then, of course, you have your values, and you have to identify what I call the uncommon sense, the differentiators, not the what everybody else is doing badly, but what are the areas that you can improve and optimize that can do better. And that's why people would want to engage with you and utilize your service.
Well, Mike, suppose we have an idea which we feel personally very good, and we have also checked with some of our friends that this idea is good. But is there any change in rules of engagement post-COVID, which will determine the success and failure of this new idea that we have got?
Well, I think another one of the things that we have to be open to these days is saying actually the virtual world is the best place and the most cost-effective way to go into a new market. It's no longer the case that you have to go to some expensive market research agencies and spend 3 months talking with special interest groups and potential client groups to say, is this way we should go, blah, blah, blah. You have to basically get your minimum viable product ready. You have to start talking to people. And most importantly, I believe in this world that's dynamic and changing so much, is having sounded out that there is potential for this, you then have to educate the market. You have to identify and uncover, as well as then convert, unrecognized needs amongst your target market. And that is the most important thing. And I think now in the post-COVID virtual world, the nice thing is you don't have to spend weeks and weeks traveling the world at vast cost. You have to be nimble, you have to be quick, you have to be investing in the technology and the market and getting out and talking to people about this prospect, this project, this venture, this idea, this product, the service, to get them enthused and saying, oh, actually, you know what, that is something I need. And you do that, I believe, much cheaper online through so I mean, on Scale Up Arena, we have expert advisory area mentors. Those people are available to the growing companies at much more efficient cost, because you might only want them for a week or for a project or for 4 days a month or something, rather than taking people on full time. So that keeps your business nimble, but enables you to graft in the appropriate skills and services at the right moment to do it. For example, say social media or marketing, that's something that could be outsourced to somebody who's a specialist in that space, and they can do that for you in a much more efficient and effective way than if you brought somebody in, had to train them up, give them cultural and all the overhead associated with having a full-time employee. I think in this day and age, you can actually utilize outsource individuals for that.
So I think there is still scope for outsourcing, and the businesses will have opportunity to think about to offer outsourcing services as long as they are, more conducive for online platform, and also look at the opportunities which can be outsourced, which are in demand. So it's not only the business who want to outsource their services, but also leverage the other people who are outsourcing in the market. So I think the whole thing is changing, Mike. Any last words in terms of market creation in the new world?
Yeah, well, I think once you've started to educate the market and in effect, you've started pitching to a few prospects and turning some sales in, what you then need to do is create some user examples, get case studies, get quotes, start promoting those success stories out, make sure that people are hearing about you. And this is where I think there is investment needs to be made, is in PR and promotion, to ensure that people hear about you, hear the right things about you, know what you can do. And at that point, I think is also a good point to start thinking about an indirect go-to-market, route-to-market strategy with partners, agents, resellers, joint venture partners, to maybe reach out to new sectors, new geographies. Once you've got a tried and tested client base who are engaged with you, that's the point in this day and age to push the accelerator, because you can guarantee there's probably somebody else somewhere who's got the same idea, but maybe doing it slightly differently or in a different market. So you have to really optimize the route to market as fast as you can. And the way to do that efficiently is through indirect marketing strategies. Rather than having end user salespeople all the time, you actually probably need to have a mix of end user sales for yourself, but also indirect partners who take that to market in different geographies, such as India, for example, where Scale Up Arena has great potential, can help Indian companies to get into other markets and other companies get into India. So, we need to have access to the India market through a partner. It's pointless us creating our own infrastructure over there. What we need is to be efficient and effective and fast to optimize that opportunity. And then, of course, the other option, once you've got a fair track record, is potentially to have an acquisition. Maybe it's to supplement your tech, maybe it's to supplement your customer base, to take out a competitor perhaps, or maybe it's to enter a new geography.
I think you summarized pretty well, Mike. And in fact, you are the founder and chief executive of Scale Up Arena, which exactly do this, bringing the SMEs and startups and different variety of businesses together so that they can leverage each other. So I think we will talk about that in the next episode in detail so that the information can be provided. But it was a pleasure talking to you today. And we look forward to meeting you and talking about Scale Up Arena in much more detail next week, same time, Mike.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, Chandra. Have a great week.
Thank you, Mike, and bye-bye. Hello friends, welcome to Akulmek Live. I'm your host Chandrakant, and today I would like to talk about a new scheme launched by Government of India. It was announced by our Finance Minister Mr. Sitaraman yesterday on Saturday, and this scheme is called Ubharte Sitare. In other words, shining stars, and it can also have one more meaning, which is shining through. And this scheme is specifically applicable for MSMEs. So we will discuss about this, the entire scheme, how it benefits India, what is MSME, what is so great about this scheme, after a short break. This video is sponsored by Performance Works International, and there is a word from them. After that, we will come back and discuss about this particular news item. This video is sponsored by Performance Works International.
Are you ready for the challenges facing the modern workplace? Recent events have taught us the importance of transformation. Businesses now face a perfect storm of challenges. No business is too big to fail, and many are too slow to succeed. Our workforce is changing fast. We're entering a new age of empowerment, and everyone can contribute. The Inner CEO reveals how we can all play a part in making leading at all levels a reality. Written by Jeremy Blaine, an expert on business transformation and growth, it provides a roadmap to help everyone unleash their inner CEO and contribute beyond their job role, whatever their level. Traditionally, strategy has been owned by the few. Now it's time for the many to contribute. Leadership must come from a broader base. Everyone has the potential to step up and make things happen. It's a new model of collective and collaborative leadership which unleashes the power of people, enabled by appropriate technology and a supportive management structure. The book provides a roadmap for a bold new age of empowerment. Supported by a range of resources, the book provides a toolkit to help anyone unleash their inner CEO. Organisation health, development and growth is owned at all levels. Are you ready to unleash the inner CEO?
Welcome back, friends, and we want to talk about Ubharte Sitare scheme for MSMEs. So when we say MSME, what does it mean? MSME is very specific to India. It is micro and small medium enterprises. The definition of MSMEs are also very well defined in terms of the size of the revenue, and based on the revenue, the size of the company is determined, and based on all this, the MSMEs are classified. Now, MSMEs are a big segment in India. They are also one of the biggest risk takers and innovators in India because they work at the grassroots level. And so far, the schemes that bank offers is basically largely for larger enterprises, and MSME segment, which is almost like 30 to 40% of the Indian economy, which forms the baseline of the Indian economy, is largely ignored. So this scheme is called Ubharte Sitare, which also translates into shining stars, and this basically brings a lot of flexibilities and a lot of support for the MSME segment, which is micro and small medium enterprises, and to support them. Now, when we say Ubharte Sitare, the name itself suggests that this scheme will identify the future of the MSMEs based on the foreign exchange. So that is where the program is. This program is supposed to identify promising micro and small medium enterprises which are doing forex business and have potential to become unicorns in next couple of years. And to support these type of agencies which are specifically involved in foreign exchange business and can make a dent globally, will be supported not only in terms of finances but also in advisory services. So many times the senior management requires, if they are stuck in terms of how they should proceed further in terms of finding new opportunities, etc. So advisory services are also will be provided along with funding. There are different kinds of funds available under this Ubharte Sitare scheme, which involves soft loan, involves finances which are equity based, finances which are non-equity based, even debt products are also available. So there is a complete department which is going to review the MSMEs and provide all these things, So soft loans, advisory, advisory in terms of finding new markets, and also providing funding for any growth potentials that these companies have. So the program itself is sponsored by two entities in India, which is SIDBI and also Exim Bank. And these entities have already created an infrastructure which will help identify the potentials to cull out the unicorns out of this MSMEs and help grow the foreign exchange business for India, especially from this segment of the industry, which is like a baseline. So this is a very exciting news, and this is very exciting. I think every Indian should feel very proud that the government is also providing a lot of support to the MSME segment by coming out with these new schemes. In fact, right now the foreign exchange for India is about 400 billion, and the target that we have set for the next fiscal is 1 trillion. So we want to stretch the revenue coming out from foreign exchange revenue. We want to bring it to $1 trillion, and about 30 to 40% of this revenue must come from the small and micro enterprises, and therefore this scheme is going to benefit a lot of these entities, a lot of these companies. So this scheme is already on, and it will be rolled out state by state basis. In India, the state of Uttar Pradesh has the largest MSMEs register with the registrar of companies. So this is launched already by the state of Uttar Pradesh, and very soon the rollout will happen across all states. So it's basically the central government has created the scheme, the fund has been created, the fund has been created, the infrastructure has been created. Now the states have to come forward, and for the benefit of the MSMEs registered in their state, they have to launch this particular service. So this is very exciting, and I thought I will bring clarity around it. Just to summarize, MSMEs only which has potential to become unicorns in the area of foreign exchange revenue for India in next couple of years, which has the capability to take risk, and the government is actually putting their might behind them by providing them funding, also equity, and also advisory services. So I'll end my video, my friends, but before I go, I'd like to give a big shout out to the sponsor of this particular video, which is Performance Works. Their book called Inner CEO is very, very important. And if you are a small medium enterprise player, I think you should actually read this book. To secure your copy of the book, the link is in the description below. So friends, I'd like to say goodbye for today, only to catch you in the next episode of Akul Mac Live. Hello friends, this is Akul Mac Live. I'm Chandrakant. Today we want to discuss something very, very important, and the subject is about the patient-doctor relationship. What is the new skills that doctors need today in order to be effective doctor? We know that doctor sometimes treated like gods because they can give us life, and they can, bring our patient back from death. So doctors are very, very important entity in our society, but doctors also need to learn things. So today this is what we want to discuss, and we have a very distinguished guest joining our panel today. Before we start our discussion, I'd like to tell you friends that there is a giveaway. Please stick around till the end of this video, and we will tell you how you can win your free gift. So let's get back to our discussion. Hello friends, let me introduce our guest today. He's joining us from London. His name is Dr. Umesh Prabhu, a celebrity of sorts. He has been director of NHS, which is a very prestigious role, for almost 15 years. We are very pleased to have him on our show today. Without further ado, let me present Dr. Prabhu to you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, CA. It's a great pleasure and honor to be here. I have heard a lot about you. I have heard about your program a lot. My name is Umesh Prabhu. I was a consultant pediatrician. I developed interest in patient safety after my own mistake, and I have now given more than 300 lectures why doctors make mistakes and how to protect patients. Protecting patients, supporting doctors are the two sides of the same coin. Ours is a noble profession and wonderful profession, and we must always put patient at the heart of everything we do. And if I tell you the statistics, I think it will be frightening. But I want you to remember, vast majority doctors are very good. Doctors are treated like gods. There is a study in London. Every year they do this study. 90% of people trust doctors and nurses. Only 17% trust politicians. With that trust, we have a great responsibility on our shoulder, and we must always put patient at the heart of everything we do. And that is the reason why. At present in the United States, there may be up to 200,000 people die or suffer due to medical error. And in the United Kingdom, 75,000 patients suffer moderate to severe harm due to medical error. But that is, most of them are preventable, and that is my special interest.
Well, doctor, I fully agree with you. Sometimes a doctor who treats you can be given the status of a god, because between life and death, doctor plays a major role. But I think we forget sometimes that doctor is also a human being, and they are also affected by the emotions and sometimes anger, all kinds of emotions.
So, what is your advice to the fellow professionals how they should control their emotions?
I think the most important thing is for doctor must stay calm. Always stay calm. It's very difficult. If a surgeon gets emotional, he will make mistake and he can cut the artery and patient can die. So most important to stay calm always. It's not easy because doctors are human beings and doctors have got alcohol problem. Doctors have got substance misuse. Doctors get mental health. Doctors have got personality problem. Because doctors are human beings at the end of the day. My advice to doctors is very simple. Be proud of your profession. It's a noble profession. It's a wonderful profession. Without doctors there and nurses, there won't be any patients. That's the reason why we must make sure we always put patient at the heart of everything we do. COVID has affected a lot of doctors. COVID has affected everyone. I have lost 40 of my friends in UK due to COVID. And because doctors work very hard and they are more exposed to COVID. And that's the reason why my simple advice to doctors is be proud of your noble, wonderful profession.
Certainly, I think that's a very good advice. And usually, doctors are very calm. What I've seen is that you go to any doctor, they are very busy. Also, they have to go to wards, and they have to come to OPD, and then they have to give, all kinds of patients. They have to see, treat them differently. Every patient has a different story to tell. They are very calm. But last 15 days to 20 days, I've seen that even doctors are losing their cool. I think, especially in India, there is so much pressure which this wretched virus has brought to the medical fraternity that all the doctors are now losing cool. Would you have any word of wisdom for doctors?
I think the important, when going gets tough, tough get going. That is the time where your cool is more important because it's not just the doctors, it's the patients. When I see the video, here my heart cries. I saw many patients dying because lack of oxygen. So it is not just the doctors, it's the patient. So my advice to doctors is be proud of what you do because without doctors, there won't be anything at all without doctors and nurses. And nurses are also equally important. But most important is take the patient through that journey. Be proud of your noble profession. But important to remember, you are a human being. As Devi Shetty said, nobody is perfect. He was telling the other day, I saw a video. Nobody is perfect. Wife thinks husband is perfect. Husband thinks wife is perfect. None of us are perfect. We are all human beings. And you've got to do your best for the patient. But you must be humble. You must have humility. And most important, you must understand why doctors make mistakes. Because only doctors know why doctors make mistakes. And there are complex reasons. It is not because of bad doctors. I have come across bad doctors. Somebody sexually molesting patient, that's a bad doctor. Doctors drinking alcohol excessively, that's a bad thing. But doctors must stay cool and must be very proud of noble profession and must say, I am going to do it. And the doctor must know how to take patient through the journey. And doctor also needs doctor skill, communication skill, interpersonal skill, organizational skill, team working. So doctor must be good at everything, and it is almost impossible.
Well, I think you made some very, very important, very powerful words like interpersonal skills, and I know for sure that you're not working with NHS. You're now retired, sorts of, but you're helping the medical staff. You're bringing the doctors, you're hiring doctors, making them ready for future. So would you like to give some inputs on this part of your life where you're helping your fellow professions to be a better successful profession?
Let me tell you statistics. At present, there is 5 to 8 million shortage of healthcare workers, including doctors. It is expected to increase to 18 million by 2030. Throughout the world, there is a shortage of doctors. And with COVID, people have realized the importance of doctors. Brazil has got a lot of problems. America has got a lot of problems. Now India has got problems. So we all need doctors and nurses. What we are doing is we are getting doctors from India and nurses from India, training them in UK and hoping that they will go back to serve India. Being a doctor, being a nurse is serving the humanity. And that is what we are doing. So that is what, and I'm enjoying it because my duty is to pass my knowledge to the future generation. And every doctor must be a very good doctor. If not, patients suffer.
So, Dr. Prabhu, let me ask you, are you running an academy kind of a thing or just an advisory?
I work with many people. I do my own Zoom training. I do Zoom teaching. So that's the reason why. Even in India, I'm doing some Zoom training in the medical college. How to be a good doctor. Why doctors make mistakes. How to avoid this. For example, medication error is one of the most common cause of harm. And in India, nobody has done a study on it. And that is the reason why. My aim is to, because one day we'll all will be patient. So patient safety is a human rights issue. And we must take interest in patient safety. Because when patients suffer, doctors suffer. When doctors suffer, patients suffer. And that is the reason why I'm now spending a lot of my time training doctors on how to prevent harm to patients. And in the UK, regulation is very strict. Each year, 9,000 doctors are referred to General Medical Council. And overseas doctors are 6 times more likely to be referred. And reasons are very complex. And that is the reason why prevention is better than cure. I teach these doctors before they come from India what makes you referral to GMC and how to prevent it.
I think this is very, very powerful advice or input or knowledge. I think whatever you want to call it, you can call it. And it is required because the regulations are now getting very tightened all over the world, including in India, where the proper legal bindings are being, issued right now. And while you also mentioned there is going to be dearth of doctors, so that means we need more trained professionals who can not only treat patient but also treat them effectively. And that is where your knowledge comes in, where you tell your fellow professionals to treat the patient effectively, and that is why your knowledge and your courses are very valuable for everyone. Every doctor must talk to you and attend your class.
Let me tell you one important story. Last 3 years ago, a doctor from Chennai in UK took his own life. He was falsely accused of sexually molesting patient. And what a human tragedy. So doctors must know these regulations, what to do when there's an allegation of sexual molestation and how to prevent it. That is what I'm spending time, because prevention is better than cure. And let me tell you, in United Kingdom, 40 doctors have taken their own life. 300 nurses have taken their own life. And vast majority of them are overseas trained doctors and nurses. What a human tragedy. So all I'm doing is prevent these tragedies for anybody, because when somebody takes his own life, his family suffers, his children suffer. And that is the reason why. If COVID also, prevention is always better than cure. So doctors must take interest in patient safety. And in India, violence against doctors is increasing. It's a pretty bad story. I've collected 100 incidents where doctors have been manhandled. And that is what doctors must take interest in these things. Doctors must work with the politicians, and doctors must always put patients at the heart, and doctors must prevent harm to patients. Hospital-acquired infection, medication error, post-surgical complications, these are all very common. And statistics is very worrying. United States, as I told you, 200,000 patients suffer moderate to severe harm. In UK, 75,000 patients suffer moderate to severe harm. And so doctors must take interest in patient safety. Doctors must be very proud of their noble and wonderful profession.
Absolutely, Dr. Ramesh. I think you have given a lot of information today, and I think every doctor who wants to become a really good doctor must listen to you, whether you are in India or Taiwan or Singapore or UK, wherever you are. I think doctor profession as a profession is a universal profession. You can treat any citizen of any country, and that is why they must listen to you. They must engage with you, and they must learn from your experience, because I think you have already spent so many years, more than 35 years in this profession.
I'm very proud of our profession. Ours is a noble profession and wonderful profession. And India is a noble country. India is a wonderful country. We must be very proud of Indian values. It's Indian values, Indian teaching, which made me successful in UK. I'm very proud of India. I'm very proud of United Kingdom. And with Brexit, there is a very good opportunity for both the countries to grow together, learn from each other. And that is what my dream is, so that India and UK both can be a great two nations and work together. Boris Johnson has already said he wants to do trade deal with India, and I think Narendra Modi. And now India is suffering, and we are all helping India, and we are praying for India. Hopefully, both the countries will grow together and become more successful in the world.
Well, Doctor, you mentioned about the trade deal. So a part of a trade deal came out 2 days back, where there is a bilateral agreement between UK and India, and the value of the agreement is about 1 billion pounds, or 1.4 billion US dollars. And because of this agreement, there will be 6 to 7,000 new jobs in UK, and UK is going to help Serum Institute to develop AstraZeneca and other vaccination, even the nasal vaccination. So I think this is the precursor of the free trade deal, which is going to happen in few days from now. So I think eagerly waiting for that to happen.
I think that's very good. And not only that, UK can learn from India, because India makes medicine very, very cheap rate. In UK, medicines are very, very costly. So there are a lot of things. And if you look at India, India spends, for example, Narayana Hrudayalaya, I think they do a lot of, very highly efficient elective operations. So UK can learn from India, India can learn from UK, and both of us can grow together.
Absolutely, Doctor. It was a pleasure talking to you and learning that, how you're keeping yourself busy now. You're helping other doctors and medical staff world over to be a better professional, better doctor. I think it's a pleasure for the years to learn from you. But this is not the last discussion we had. We will actually invite you again next week and discuss something even more interesting.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. You're doing a fantastic job. I know you know Neha. I know you know Neville. They are all my friends. I think most important is when you are very proud of your profession, make sure your professional integrity is maintained. And I want to help the doctors so that neither the patients suffer nor the doctors suffer. And we can have a fantastic, be proud of this noble and wonderful profession.
Thank you, Doctor. So I say goodbye for today, only to meet you next time.
Thank you very much. And it's a great pleasure to have you. And great, you're doing a fantastic job. Keep up your great work. Okay.
We have some unique Akulmek memorabilia which will make you look outstanding. The graphics on these corporate gifts are based on the global best business practices. To become recipient of one of these gifts for free, you have to watch this video till the end and provide your valuable comments. Or you can also share your experiences. The person who makes the best comment would be chosen to become a recipient of these beautiful Akulmek gift, absolutely free, delivered to your doorsteps. The winner would also get a chance to be invited live as a distinguished panelist during our next video. What are you waiting for, friends? Please subscribe Akulmek and smash that like button.
Hello friends, this is Chandra from Akulmek Technologies. Welcome to Top Brass. Today we have Mr. Akshay Gupta in our program. He is the Prime Research and Advisory CEO and founder. He joins us from Mumbai. We will discuss about the lockdown situation and many more things from Akshay. Akshay, welcome to Top Brass.
Thank you very much, Chandra. Thanks a lot for having me on the show.
So Akshay, we are on day 17 of the lockdown. As you already know that there are certain pockets in India which are getting into total lockdown from yesterday. But having said that, do you see in your neighborhood and your community any innovation that people might have come up with to handle the situation related to lockdown?
Yeah, in fact, Chandra, we are actually seeing a lot of new ideas, whether with technology, using technology, not using technology, but certainly new ideas where the new scenario has been sort of incorporated into. For example, people have stopped going down to shop. Uh, we have shops in our own complex where we get the essentials, the necessaries, the day-to-day necessaries. But now that's been streamlined into a very beautiful way, where we give the order on WhatsApp. We are given a certain delivery time. We pay by a digital currency, and we go and pick it up. So I think these are small innovations that are happening where the new norm or the new normal of the day called social distancing. Of course, till this whole episode lasts, and my suspicion is it's going to last a long time. These new innovations probably will last longer than this epidemic or pandemic, because I think people will understand the convenience, the discipline, and the effectiveness of these measures. Typically, in the olden times of the pre-corona days, people used to kind of climb on each other in those shops to get their essentials. Today, it's such a beautiful system. You place your order on WhatsApp or on a mail. You're given a certain slot. You come there, you pick up. It's all packed, pre-packed, and you pay digital currency. There are so many formats you can pay with. You pick it up and you come back home. So you don't have to wait. You don't have to jostle. You don't have to ask for change. You don't have to climb over each other. You don't have to spend that much time. So I think these are small things that are helping us in these times of distress. But as they say that necessity is the mother of invention. So we are kind of inventing these things.
Akshay, you have had a career of 3 decades. You are a brand by yourself, known in the financial world. You and your colleagues are leading the country from the front for so many years now. I know you personally, that you are associated with such large brands and leading those brands into the market. So with your experience now, do you see any downturn in the business sentiment?
Yeah, I mean, without doubt, Chandra, I mean, business sentiment will get affected. Services sector, manufacturing sector, financial sector, because there is a clear-cut reduction in productivity in the country because of this lockdown. This will have a very adverse effect on GDP. This will have a very adverse effect on economy. Whether it will be -2% or +2% is something that one needs to see over the next 6 months. How long this will last, one has to see over the next 6 months. But certainly this has put India's growth story into a sort of grinding halt. And this will take at least 6 to 12 months for it to normalize. We are seeing a lot of services which are called consumer touch services businesses holding up, like restaurants and hotels and airlines and theaters and what have you. And those guys will take a long time to recover. When those guys default, people will be sacked, people will be laid off. Those people will stop contributing to the financial sector. There will be defaults that will be adversely affecting the banking sector. Except for consumer staples, which basically means that people who have to consume those items on a day-to-day basis, most of the sectors, whether it's discretionary spend or services sector or banking sector or technology sector, budgets will be cut, people will be laid off, and there will be an adverse impact. And I don't want to sugarcoat by saying that it will come back very soon. My estimate is that it will take at least 2 years for us to get back to where we were pre-corona.
So I think we are going to get into a recession, a very bad recession. I think from your point of view, what the government of India or various respective governments of each country should do to revive the business sentiment in order to bring the GDP up of the globe of all different countries, what measures they should do after the lockdown is lifted?
Yeah, I think first, India is quite different from the other countries. So I do hear about comparisons of printing money of a certain percentage of GDP, which is called the fiscal stimulus. Uh, I think we also have to do that, but I think in the short term, what we need to do is to protect the poor. In the short term, we need that people should get basic things. They should survive. Today, there is a problem of survival. I think survival is the key in the short term. And if these people are not in the right frame of mind to survive, who will do the various onerous activities they conduct? Like, how will the farm labor, the industrial labor, the services labor uh, work back into the system if these people don't have food to eat? So I think survival in the short term to me is the key. In the medium term, people have to be given money into the hands. India has to print money. The Indian government has to print a lot more than what they have announced. And I think they will do it. They will see the Western world do it. There are constraints in India, like there is a constraint of the fiscal deficit, which obviously then has a bearing on the credit rating of the country. If you increase in fiscal deficit a lot, if you print more money than you should, there is a bearing that you will have a credit rating question mark or downgrade, because of which a lot of money will not come into India. So I think the government has to do the fine a tightrope balance and has to try and get survival and money into the hands of people. And I think the growth story is at least 1 to 2 years off. I think we should just get the derailed train back on track first, and then we should look at how fast it can run.
So you also see, from your point of view, the old business models will just vanish, and there is a need to evolve a new business model for everyone.
Without a doubt, CK, because I think this working from home, online usage, internet, digital, pharma, the pharma companies in the index and in the economy were completely sidelined before Corona. And, just for an example, in the Nifty, which is the index in India, the NSE index, 40% weightage is for financials and only 3% weightage is for pharma. Now pharma weightage will go at least 10 to 15% and financials will come down. People will realize that there is value of intellectual capital accumulated over the years. So I think there will be a paradigm shift after this. How long that paradigm shift continues and lasts, nobody knows, because I remember after the 9/11 in US, a lot of people said that offices have become dangerous places to work. One should start working from home. But then in the next revolution, we saw that offices became the best asset in terms of return. And people were investors like Blackstone and GIC and all were buying those offices left, right, and center across the globe. So things do change. Paradigms get changed over a period of time. But certainly the paradigm of online, digital, redundancy of going to office every day, these paradigms will emerge post-corona. I'm quite sure about that. And I'm also quite sure that things like healthcare and pharma companies will get far more importance than the traditional companies like banks and manufacturing companies, because people will understand that these are the lifesavers, and we need to give far more weightages, far more P multiples, far more importance to these industries.
Akshay, you are a leader. You have led so many large organizations. I'm sure you will be at the forefront when the lockdown is lifted. We wish you all the best and your company. And we look forward to the leadership from you in order to bring us out from, you already mentioned that the growth story will be halted for some more time. So I think the sustenance part, we will see your leadership coming in the forefront. So for today, we have limited time, but it was wonderful talking to you, and your words of wisdom, your advices, your direction is really valuable for me personally and for our viewers. It was a pleasure talking to you, Akshay.
Thank you very much, CK. Appreciate coming on this platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and we will find another opportunity very soon to talk to you.